1, go.
Hey everybody! Welcome to the retake of the Super Cool Nerd Show. Oh wow, that's cruder than I had in mind.
Hold on, there's a echo.
Yeah. It is a lovely stereo.
Wait.
Should it be fixed now?
Yeah.
What, it is an echo?
No. It's fine. It's fine.
Fantastic.
Yeah, it's fixed now.
Yay!
Okay, hey.
Round of applause.
New computer!
Quiet round
Cass.
of applause.
Yeah.
Just to not, you know. This is going to go right up there with don't sneeze into the
The
microphone.
audio is
kind of
quite
text.
good, though, so...
It's good.
Welcome to D&D. We're playing D&D.
Woo!
Yeah, I'm not going to listen to it the whole time. That's probably for the best.
No, it will be very disconcerting for you.
Because you'll have an echo the entire session. What you're actually
Of my own
hearing.
voice, and nobody likes to hear their voice playback, so
No.
we're gonna...
I like
had
to
to
hear your
edit.
voice played back.
Yeah.
What the? I gave you a Okay. I'll just be over here.
How was my insult? It was a response.
Call
So
and
I've
response.
been
You told me. Fun of
rewatching
me at
last
the camp.
session every week,
Sounded just like
and
her.
everyone else sounds great except me because it's my own voice, and it sounds different.
I think it's
Yeah.
very telling that her doing an accurate impression of your...
I know. I heard
you
it.
think
I
it's an
know,
insult?
Yeah.
No, you think it's an insult. I'm gonna explain it, but slower. I know you got it, but still. Yes. So, welcome back to D&D.
Oh, fucking one of you people.
I'm not scared of you.
Me and I are innocent in this.
You know what? That's
Oh,
true.
look at me.
At least me.
It was just Puss in Boots with the...
Yeah.
So cute.
Jason wasn't involved. Are you going to
what
spare
have I
him?
done?
No.
Oh.
What have I done?
Jason
I
knows
think
what
there's
You know
a
your crimes.
clear distinction. There are the innocent and there are the men and cat.
I'm not looking at toys.
The Men in Cat is very much the story of my life.
I was
until
about to
Cat
say,
was born.
that's the second chapter of your autobiography.
Wait, men and cats?
The Men and Cat.
Oh,
Me and Cat were definitely complicit in making fun of Cat. Jason was not, and yet he will still be punished.
That's-
My name's
Cass.
Cass.
Sure.
That's right. You're right. Me and Cat, Cass,
I
Jason.
do the same thing.
And now you.
for
Whereas
me it was
Cass
a very
was very much
Puss in
not
Boots situation. Just
Welcome
several
to the
dudes.
Super Cool Nerd Show session of D&D.
Cool nerd show.
You're
Super
not
Cool Nerd
It's
Show.
the cool
in
nerd.
charge
Change it to
anymore.
the Super
I heard what
Cool
you
Nerd
said.
Show.
Which I mean is appropriate.
I mean,
Oh,
last session
Not
was...
too bad.
Extra mean.
Yeah.
You know.
Extra mean nerd show.
Although no one died, so maybe she
I
can
thought
use
Olex
it.
died.
I mean, I almost
Oh, the-
died.
I mean,
Yeah, you did.
yet.
You almost-
Nobody
yeah.
died yet.
That is a step up from me actually dying last time.
You know what that is true.
Yeah.
That's accurate. Yeah.
And
Working
that's
on
a
it.
step up depending on how much you care about Ezra.
You're working on killing us?
No,
I didn't
saving
say
y'all.
that.
Just the
Anyway.
mace.
So anyway, it's muted.
What's muted?
Why can I still hear it?
Oh,
her
Oh,
not
her
the stream.
personal
Stream's fine.
thing.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's you.
Oh yeah, you don't need context for
Oh,
anything.
I'm not.
Calm down.
No more tech problems.
Yes, and now, since we clearly need money to hire like a producer or something, I'm gonna throw it over to Jason, who may or may not have
yes,
an ad.
another wonderful product from JTX Industries. We've all experienced the sadness of losing a character in game and having to come up with a new one. But what if you get kicked out of your own game for being, I don't know, toxic, a bit of a pain in the ass, but want to rejoin your friends in playing D&D? Well, we here at JTX Industries have come up with a brand new line of things. Yes, with these personas that we've come up with, you can become... Hi, I'm John Carter, a traveling veteran who wants to rejoin your game. Good day to y'all. Or,
The failed
What do you mean
Disney movie?
rejoin, John Carter?
wait.
or,
John Carter
Or-
of Mars fame?
or, hi, I'm Sarah Connor, a single mother who's deeply into CrossFit and hates technology. Yeah, right. Or even one of our other ones. Hi, I'm Kevin McAllister, a young teenager from Chicago who is into home improvement. Yes.
Oh yeah.
So yes, these wonderful products will be available at JTX Industries. Rejoin your game. Don't let anybody know who you actually were. Fool your friends. or ex-friends and make new friends out of the old friends. Just another wonderful product here at JTX. And those are all original personas, by the way. I didn't take them from anywhere.
No.
I heard...
Especially not a company that is famously litigious.
What? Oh, yeah, they own it. Oh, crap.
They don't own the
we'll work those
name
out.
per
These,
se.
trust me, these are all original. Anyway, thank you. And now I will turn it over to the recasts.
Oh. Hey, I didn't see you there. I'm so rude. Allow me to tip my recap to you.
It's bad.
Thank you. Picture, if you will, thank you. Picture, if you will, a library. Maybe the most important library in the world. Books holding crucial knowledge that exists nowhere else. What's up?
Can you go close my front door?
Yeah.
And are my cats still in here?
One of them was.
Door's open.
I think only the screen door is open.
Is the front door closed?
I do believe so.
Okay. That'd be great.
Well, let's confirm.
Yeah.
We're gonna sit here.
I'm
If
sorry.
Cora comes back and say that they closed the door, then
We're great. We're good. I just saw the screen door open because I leave it open because, it's a nice day outside. I apologize, everyone. I can't have the...
It was just the screen door. It wasn't the.
Okay.
Okay, good.
Whew. Thank you, Lord. Anyway.
An important library.
An important library. Maybe the most important library in the world. Books holding crucial knowledge that exists nowhere else. And a monster eating that knowledge. Our heroes entered into this library, their memories altered to keep the mind reader from learning their true reasons. This Oblex tested the wizard, offering her a chance to assist with the dispensing of information rather than hoarding it, which is what the Academy has been doing. Azra turned it down. After a fierce battle, we now turn to the vault, filled with the Oblex's prisoners.
Yep. And
This was just for the bit. I don't want to wear that.
no, you must wear it. So, we pick back up,
Are we skipping our regular character introductions?
Oh, shit.
We didn't go around the table
We
this
haven't.
time.
and we have no idea who's here. So, who's
Hi,
here?
I'm Jason the X, and I play Alabroth Jarud, a Dragonborn cleric.
Hi, I'm Mia, and I play Ronnie, the Aragonasi Ranger.
Hello, I'm Octavia. I'm the, what am I?
High elf
I'm
monk.
a high elf monk.
Hi, I'm Christian, and I play Azra the Human Wizard.
Hi, I'm Cora, and I play Brana, the Aasimar Rogue.
What was that expression? It's giving big, do you like jazz energy?
Seriously, it was almost like, you may have seen me in such things as.
Jason mentioned a radio voice earlier, and that's just been in my head now.
Do you like jazz?
So, do you like jazz?
Do you want to buy a jazz?
Put on some pants. Gross. So, and I'm Kat. I play all the others. Yes. So, we pick back up at the beginning of a 10-minute wait.
Yeah.
Strophus, Azra's ex-professor, has already entered the code on the arcane lock. It will open in 10-minute time. It's just a 10-minute safe. That's just what it is. And
I'm gonna run. Use my action as well. Just dash, and I'm gonna go get Ember.
I was going to say, before any of you move, Sylvie looks at Shackles and says, "Race ya," and they take off. Like, cause you were close to, like, she was hanging at the back.
Right.
Already thinking about it. You're welcome to run with her if you want, but she actually had an urgency implanted in her to get something back.
Okay.
Yeah, and the urgency was nothing other than Astrophus's office to remember, but that's all she had. Do you guys know, this is something I was trying to write down, but I fell asleep. Who had their memories like actually retained? I made it as far as you all told Azra, like, your
I think
stuff.
you programmed mine, and then I don't know who else it would have been.
It wouldn't have been mine. Because the only information that I had is that Ember told me something, so it makes sense that anyone could tell me same thing.
Also, I remember us discussing mind altering. I don't remember if Azra's was altered. Probably. But I just don't remember it.
Yes, because all of yours were altered because you all heard the conversation about the changeling potentially being on his way.
And also the location of the king. We needed to get out the useful and pertinent information that they could have stolen.
Yeah.
All of you currently believe that the king found out that it was unsafe to remain in Trido and is on his way to Blackrest or Strassus. I forget what you
It
landed
was
on.
Blackrest because
I
it was
think
his dad.
Blackrest.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was the initial proposal. Yeah,
You
so
might have-
Blackrest.
I don't know if you encoded Brana's memory, if you would have just done your own.
I thought Astrophus did mine.
No,
Well,
no,
who
the-
encoded your memory and who
I think
altered it are different people. You're the
Yeah.
only one who can encode for other people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Astrophus can't even do that, although he did encode his own thoughts.
Oh, interesting.
But yeah, I think it was Astrophus. Or, I mean, I think you did maybe Mia's or maybe Ronnie's and Alibroth's.
How important is it to remember who did it versus
It doesn't matter
whose
who
memories
did
were
it.
altered?
Everyone's memories were altered.
Okay.
It's
so,
kind of important to remember whose memories can be restored without greater restoration by the encode thoughts.
Oh, I see. Because the encode means we don't have to greater restore. Okay.
Yeah.
I believe I definitely encoded Ronnie's. And if Brana didn't... Actually, I think we just encoded Ronnie's because we sort of trusted that once I restored Ronnie's memory, Ronnie would just communicate to us those important things, and then we'd all be on the same page again.
Okay. I think that could be right because, like...
No one else's memory had to be changed in significant ways in order to make their motivations apply.
Yeah, like yours could just be retold to you.
Yeah.
And...
Bahamut.
Which was more or less true. You just had to
Yeah.
wipe the thing. And yours was also that there was knowledge in the library, which was more or
Yeah.
less... So yeah, that sounds right. And I think you did Sylvie's because she doesn't know anybody that well. Anyway, yes. So, what is do you take off with Sylvie? Like you can take off
I guess
alongside
not.
her.
I don't see
Yeah,
why
that
I
doesn't
would.
seem to be like a lot
But
of
it's
reason
important that
to.
she go get it.
Huh?
It's important that she go get it.
Oh, she just has like she wasn't.
No, I don't have to go. That's fine.
There are reasons.
Okay.
But yeah, so she and Shackles kind of take off at the same time. Shackles meows in a way that makes you think he's saying it's not fair that she's faster. But who knows what a cat is saying. And Astrophus actually looks kind of startled. I don't know if anybody's paying him attention. Probably not. It's not far to the office. There doesn't seem to be any sense of danger. What do the rest of you do as that 10 minutes starts?
I'm checking others for injuries and seeing, in fact, whose hit points are like the lowest that needs something right now.
Okay.
Never got hit.
All sorts.
You're gonna get hit by random NPC just for
Oh, wow.
Just for dabbing.
trying to dab on this show.
Rob's at
Again,
half.
Okay, well, since you're not...
I think you you healed us a little bit already.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
Because I was pretty low and now I'm fine.
Yeah, 'cause
Notably, the 2 ranged characters.
Thank you. I'm gonna knock on the door. And just say, Alvin?
You hear like a... You can hear like really... It sounds really far away, but you know it's just the door like murmuring.
Yeah.
But like it seems to be both through the door and quietly. It's not any kind of... And somebody goes, who?
Okay. Is anybody hurt in there? Are you okay?
You hear a long pause and then you hear... What? And I'll be clear, it's pretty hard to hear through the door. But you hear a, what?
Are you injured? And I'm gonna kind of shout, and is there like a thing at the bottom? There's some gap, right?
There's a little gap, yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna kind of get down. Is anyone injured?
We're not great.
Will anyone require medical assistance as soon as these doors are open?
I go over
Yeah, can
once
you
I hear
open the
that.
door?
There is a timer on it. We are waiting for the timer to expire. We have X minutes left. X being filled in by whatever Kat
About like
says.
9.5.
Okay.
And they're like, oh, okay. And you get kind of the sense that like, make an insight check, you two specifically.
Oh, man. I think it's going to be like an 18.
23.
Oh, 19.
Yeah, you both get the sense that like they don't trust you at all that the door is opening, and they're this is kind of, well, you flash back to like when you rescued the king. They're just weak. Like you don't know about their abilities to continue like trying to yell through the door, and you think like they heard we're just gonna wait till the door opens, and they're like, okay, so we're waiting. They might be like confused, they might be weak from being repeatedly memory drained over the past few weeks or whatever, but you're not gonna get like a lot of conversation.
Is the guy talking the same guy that I heard like 30 seconds ago? Or
You can roll a perception check.
DM, just so you know, I held Bronno for 30 points
Dope.
with third level.
so my proficiency bonus
healing.
went up. So that's a 24.
Nice.
I'm good at like 3 things.
You think you've heard several voices already, but you don't know.
Okay.
You don't know how many, but like you do definitely know that there's been more than one person who's responded.
Okay. I guess we wait 10 minutes, right?
Yeah, once the conversations like begin to stall out as like we're not really getting the responses that we're I think Azra takes
Yeah.
several steps back and starts like pacing back and forth waiting.
Yeah. There's nothing
You
else
all
to
kind of
do.
like look around. You're all exhausted. You're hurt to some various degree. You're all exhausted
Oh, sure, yeah.
and or hurt.
I mean, magical energy is expended.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Yeah, you had to make a big decision today. It can be very tiring.
Says the DM.
Yes, you're tired. And you kind of, there is very much this feeling of like your energies aren't dropping, but as soon as like they don't want to talk, most
Yeah.
of you, I will say, your adrenaline hits the floor.
Yeah.
Like you're just like,
Okay.
Ugh.
So not excited about getting rescued then. Alright. I think Octavia just sits on the floor and is
Yeah.
like, I don't fucking know what to do.
Ron is already sitting on the floor.
Like-
just-
The defeated chibi expression.
Yeah, the little-
Just like,
Man.
there's this whole, like, where do we go from here after big battles?
Is what's your teacher's name?
Astrophus.
Is he still here?
Yeah, he is. He looks too tired to sit down. He has both of his hands on one of the bookshelves behind him, like putting all his weight there. He's still pale. He wasn't hurt badly, but he's not a fighter.
I'm gonna
Ask him. Professor Astrophus.
If you ask in that tone, you see no reaction. He didn't hear you. He can't believe he's still alive. You don't need an insight check for all of you to see this, like,
Does the door to the vault exist on the ethereal plane?
I mean, probably.
You sure?
No, I'm not sure. The ethereal plane, as I understand it, is sort of very much like this, but not entirely. I don't have any spells. I've been there, I'm sure, but not recently for anything.
You should give it a shot, and then if the door is there on the other side, then we can give them some shit about some poor design and security.
Okay, I'm
secure
gonna walk back over to the door, or the door to the vault, and I am going to cast etherealness and
Okay.
see if I can walk through it.
How fast do you think you're walking?
Well, I'm standing right out the door.
Yeah. It doesn't hurt you or anything. You go in there, and while, like, not everything is great, the ethereal plane is the one plane that does mimic pretty closely this plane, like, and not in a weird Feywild way. But yeah, like, you shift and, into the... Are you simultaneously in both, or do you disappear?
Let me read the description since I haven't used it
I
before.
don't know if it's the same as that other walkie spell.
You step into the border regions of the ethereal plane in the area where it overlaps with your current plane. You remain in the border ethereal for the duration or until you use your action to dismiss the spell. During this time, you can move in any direction. If you move up or down, every foot of movement costs an extra foot. You can see and hear the plane you originated from, but everything there looks gray, and you can't see anything more than 60 feet away. While on the ethereal plane, you can only affect and be affected by other creatures on that plane. Creatures that aren't on the ethereal plane can't perceive you and can't interact with you unless a special ability or magic has given them the ability to do so. You ignore all objects and effects that aren't on the ethereal plane, allowing you to move through objects you perceive on the plane you originated from. When the spell ends, you immediately return to the plane you originated from in the spot you currently occupy. If you occupy the same spot as a solid object or creature when this happens, you are immediately shunted to the nearest unoccupied space that you can occupy and take force damage equal to twice the number of feet you moved. This spell has no effect if you cast it while you are on the ethereal plane or a plane that doesn't border it, such as one of the outer planes.
So, is your intent to get through the door and be on the other side?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And this spell can last for 8 hours. So,
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
That's what makes it very different from Blink. That and, your choice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's also a 7th level spell that I can only use as like a special ability.
You can use a 7th level spell right now?
Like once a day
crap.
kind of thing.
No, it's actually once per short rest, but how often are you going to need the ability to spend 8 hours on the ethereal plane?
Not all the time. It sounds calm. So,
See those
you...
little weird fishies in the ethereal plane?
You Is this the first time on the ethereal plane? Okay. So immediately you find yourself, it almost looks like our maps in real life, kind of like it's almost like this graph that you show up in. It's very much like a holodeck. And you show up there, everything is shades of gray. You do see an object in front of you, but it's like strangely kind of half translucent. As if it was the Take On Me video. Like almost like a sketching of something. And you see the door in front of you. You see a kind of a thing in front of you, but it doesn't appear to be blocking you significantly. You can kind of see inside, as it is half translucent. Make a perception check for me.
I can't believe I haven't gotten out any of my dice.
I'm gonna.
Oh my goodness.
I know, right?
I'm gonna go. In the middle of the library, there are like couches with cushions on them, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna
Towards
go
the
start
front.
pulling cushions off.
Oh, they're one long cushion. You can pull
Oh.
one. You are strong enough to do that.
Azra starts dusting off books that are on the ground and organizing them. And once she has like a nice big stack, she's gonna set it on the ground and sit on it.
19.
Did you say you disappear or you don't?
Yeah. Creatures on this plane cannot see her.
Yeah, I
Okay.
appear to disappear to them.
Okay.
I can still see them. They just look like they're all in gray.
Okay. You
That just kind of looks like someone's learned a new trick.
do you?
Oh,
you
that's
can,
interesting. I'll have to ask him about that later.
You can see body, like sketches of bodies, kind of inside, and it appears to be filled with stuff. You cannot really like make out what they are, if they're moving around very much. They don't appear to be. They're kind of like a few of them sitting cross-legged right in front of what you would assume is the door, and a few more back.
I'm going to
So, wait. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I'm gonna check out the weird translucent barrier thing and like test it to see, is it gonna hurt me if I try to go through it?
Do you try to... What do you mean test? Do you try
Like,
to reach through it? Do you try to knock on it?
touch it, see if I can, if I can touch it, can I push through it, or does it resist that?
You reach, and there doesn't seem to be like kind of an outer edge, so it feels like it's weird because it feels almost cool to your touch, but as you start like pushing into it, it's almost like it has some give, but it has very much the texture and coolness of like iron. And as you start to reach in and push further, you feel it pushing back on your hand, and you wonder if like with the coating of it, you may be able to get through it. Maybe. But if you did...
I might not be able to come back.
Well, you might be instantly shunted back. You might take damage from the door, or you might be pushed out. Like, you might be able to get inside it, but you're not 100% sure. You feel that it's likely that your magic wouldn't work in any plane on the other side.
Okay.
Is the door magical?
The whole
Yeah, it's got
vault
an arcane
is
lock.
kind of magical.
Okay, I walk up to it. Dispel magic, 5th level.
It
why?
does...
If it's magical and it's locked, why can't I just dispel the magic?
It does not respond.
I'm gonna walk and see if I can find like another angle and see if it does the same thing, just like resisting me.
You
if I try to
can
go
find
through.
any other angle. You can test. It doesn't feel dangerous to push against it. You feel like it would take a burst of energy to maybe get through it to even try, and it feels doable but maybe risky. It doesn't seem to be like super tricksy in how it's, like it's kind of what you would expect. If it takes an inch to make this non-magical effect, then then it would make sense that it has to build within that inch. Does that make sense?
It's one door, right? Mm-hmm. Can walls of force move?
I think very specifically no.
Okay, so it's not force. It's magical. It's undispellable. That's interesting.
It's undispellable at
Can I
yeah.
But
can
he
I get
didn't
like a
even roll
head
for it.
count of the people I was able to see?
With that perception check, you can get a head count. It appears to be about like probably 12. There are maybe a couple more that you can't. They don't.
They're not going to be
Everybody's
all conveniently standing there in a row.
well. It's pretty. They're pretty still. So. Yeah,
Okay.
like, and there are a few that are laying down, but you have no idea if they're. I mean, sleeping in shifts would make some sense, like reading and whatever.
I am gonna move back a little bit and give myself a running start and see if I can get through.
Roll a athletics check.
God, I'm good at that.
You should. It's not undoable by any means.
18.
18. I'm actually gonna roll for the door. Roll again. There's a tie. Oof.
What's 16 plus 7? 23.
Is it more than 7?
Yes.
The door adds plus, or the wall adds +4.
My plus to athletics is 7.
Yeah. So. Yeah. So you, in a very like weird experience, you burst through, find yourself instantly back in the plane, the regular plane.
The
What is it
material
called?
plane.
That
Material.
one. And
The normie plane.
it says you're shunted if you hit an if you appear in the same space.
Take twice as much damage as feet that you moved.
Let's see. Oh. You ignore all objects and effects that aren't on the ethereal plane, allowing you to move through objects you perceive on the plane you originated from. When the spell ends, you immediately return to the plane you originated from in the spot you currently occupy. If you occupy the same spot as a solid object or creature when this happens, you're immediately shunted off to the nearest unoccupied space that you can occupy and take force damage equal to twice the number of feet that you are moved.
Oh, so you're only moved like 5 feet max, so you take 10 damage, and so does the person that that's 11 that you essentially trip over as you're suddenly back in the material plane. Astrophus looks at you, Alabra.
Oh, hey, that only took out my 10 hit points from
Yeah.
before.
Nice.
Dope.
Yeah, but you no longer have advantage on wisdom saving throws.
But also you don't have the temp hit points because magic. And magic proof safe. I mean, you were at full, so it doesn't matter. It doesn't really matter. But, like, yeah. 10. Astrophus looks at you, Alabroth, and he says, that, looked like dispel magic. This safe was formed over a year of casting a spell every day, which sometimes makes it permanently magical and resistant to, is about one of the very few things that can resist any kind of dispel magic, for what it's worth. It's a very handy spell, but if you do, yes, you can enact kind of a permanent magical over a year. Yes. He's like, my office, you could technically dispel it, although it would take... No, I don't know. Anyway, you can try it on the office if you wish. There's no reason for it to be, if you're curious.
I mean, isn't the office protected by lead? So it's not even a magical protection. It's just a material protection against magic.
Well, that's what this is. Too. This is a hybrid. This is where he got the idea, but they haven't had a year for the office.
Oh, okay.
The office is
So-
protected by lead.
It's protected by iron.
Okay.
Oh,
I think.
iron.
Okay, good.
I've never
I was
heard
like,
of iron.
no
as
wonder
being-
he's not feeling well.
Maybe it is lead. I don't know.
Yeah.
They don't
I think-
paint with it.
Because lead boxes are the things that you can put objects in, and no one can detect
It is
them.
protected with lead, but they make it out of magic. So it is not.
Magically.
Magically non-toxic lead.
Yeah, basically.
Shackles, how you doing, bud?
Shackles doesn't seem great, but he never does. But right now he's with Sylvie, and so you are shunted into a fully lined box. Kind of, you're right near the door. It is hot in there instantly because again you find yourself without breeze and pretty low light. You kind of look around. There are
How's it smell?
it's bad. These wizards don't know how to properly clean without magic that well, and also the wear too. There has been apparently some sort of something has taken place because it's not as bad as it technically should be, the smell. So either the Oblex or they like burn stuff or something, you're not sure. There are candles, a few, placed pretty near the door. And as you kind of look around, you notice, trying to figure out if your dark vision is technically magical. I think it is. I think all dark vision is technically.
It's
Um,
like a
thought of it
physical
as that.
thing.
I don't think you can dispel dark magic on somebody's eyes, especially if they're
Dark
born with
vision?
it. Yeah, yeah.
well,
You
that's,
can dispel dark magic for sure.
in this case, Ronnie wasn't born with it because of weird game mechanics. It is something Ronnie's obtained recently.
Yeah. It is, however, still a racial trait.
Yeah.
'Cause it
I mean,
was-
it's fine. It doesn't really matter. They're candles either way. I was just trying to figure out if you were like taken back to the place where you actually had to look and you realized how graphic the difference is. Which I think you do, just for flavor.
Mm-hmm.
In that moment, it's kind of like, oh wow, it was hard to see before, and I don't ever deal with that anymore. And you kind of look around, and there are the candles are near the door, which makes sense. You would assume the rest of it is more or less airtight, and they're there just to vent out properly. And
Okay.
so there's a kind of like makeshift areas. There's back from the door, there's like a little, it's not like a table, but it's like, that's where you don't know where food comes in, but it seems to be eating. And then back in the corners, there are people sleeping at the other side.
Okay.
Which are some of the objects that you saw but weren't sure on. And you think about somewhere between 12 to 14. I don't know if you count.
Okay. I will go up to the door to the vault and call out to the rest of the party, "Hey!"
Octavia's just passed out on one of the cushions. Goes, yes.
Rana just looks up at the door, very confused, because he saw you disappear.
As
And
that
just
happens, you guys get like kind of your head spun around because the other end of Ember
Yeah.
like slams open these cellar doors
just like,
with Sylvie right on her tail. Sylvie has a tail.
All the way.
And
Ember
they
doesn't.
kind of burst in, and Ember rushes up to you. Or you kind of laying on the...
Yeah, at this point, I think she sat up.
It's kind of maybe too hard, kind of your face to be like,
Hello.
But the rest of you observe, like, for as good as Ember is at kind of spreading out her attention, and the crowd, it's kind of a sweet moment of intense focus to make sure that Octavia's okay. You hear a commotion of some sort because when she opens the doors, you hear this like smack. It's not like they're spring loaded, and you hear hey, and you hear hey, and you hear pure silence from Brana, who, as you said, is just like, what?
What's happening?
Okay.
Ember immediately glances at you and says, "Is everyone is yes?" Well, Octavia's like,
Yeah. Uh-huh.
and then looks at Alibroth. It's like, yes.
Everyone's well so far. A couple of scrapes here and there, but nothing a little rest couldn't fix for anyone.
She glances back at Octavia and goes, "You sleep with eyes open." I assume. Well, when people die,
it's
also
very
different.
sad. Tired. Elephant's not in there.
Where is Ronnie?
Ronnie went in.
We're not sure how.
I don't know how.
Was Ronnie
We actually just heard from
Both Ember and the Strophas are kind of like,
Oh no, I would probably interject. I mean, I would probably know something. It looks like the Ronnie went to the ethereal plane. Did no one not notice that?
You hear muffled,
I did. Yeah.
guys?
Hello.
Oh,
Hi.
see, that is.
yeah, the two
Ronnie,
with
wh-
a more academic understanding of magic are like, yeah, pretty sure that's what happened. Had a soft kind of gray poof.
I'll roll for it.
Octavia and I
I'm
are
pretty good
both
on
just like question marks just coming out of
Was
it.
there a whole conversation? we didn't
Ronnie,
hear?
dear Ronnie, I have a question.
Ethereal plane. What does that mean?
Hi.
Hi, what are you doing in there?
I wanted to check on everyone now.
Okay, yeah, how is everybody?
Well,
You look around, everybody's kind of backing away from you. They're not sure what happened,
I don't blame them.
and the
Oh, 'cause
only
he's-
thing that
No,
He
just the smart kids. They couldn't figure it out.
they can see, like, they've never
They've
seen
been studying
somebody
for months straight. They're
they haven't ever seen somebody shunted from a plane,
Oh, that's fair.
especially without any kind of warning at all.
Yeah.
And they were told that they were safe, and then something appeared, kind of like the Obelix did, but the Obelix can't put on illusions, and they're just very like
Confused.
the picture of what's his face, Arthur from Sword and Stone, just kind of.
I'm gonna give everyone like a once over, and other than the obvious effects of being stuck in here for an varying amounts of time, but all too long, does everyone look like in as good of health as you could expect?
They look, yeah. They look rough. This is not just the effects of being tired and whatever he has been. And you recognize the effect afterwards. Anybody who's been mind
Drained or whatever.
memory drained, yes, has this look of like aged exhaustion until they long rest, essentially, and they all have what looks like that, but exponentially. Like, they have been able to rest, but it's been a much longer period. These are not people in good health. It's like any kind of hostage situation or any situation where people are trapped long term, but maybe even closer to death than some of them.
Okay. Then I will call back. Everyone's looking haggard, but doesn't seem to be physically injured.
Somebody, it's a tall-ish, you can already tell, very dark-haired young man, a good-looking young man, with he's kind of darker skin, kind of cocks his head at you when you say haggard, and goes, "And you look sweaty."
They have the humor still. That's good.
just kind of opens his mouth as if to say more, but you see just like the effort of making that joke was already like so much.
Yeah, he sees me do like a.
He expended the last of his energy to dunk on
To
Ronnie.
burn. Yeah.
Is today supposed to be like an active school day?
That is sure, just by the odds, probably.
Yeah. Azra turns into his straw office and asks, could we get some like food and drink brought in? Something to nourish these people? Or perhaps we just get them to the kitchen as soon as the doors are open? I imagine they need rest and nourishment if they are
I
in the
don't-
state that Ronnie suggests.
I don't think they're gonna want to move to the kitchen.
Yeah, Octavius starts going and getting more of those really long.
Astrophus goes, what did you say? Food and nourishment?
Yes.
Astrophus goes, food and nourishment.
Okay, where's the kitchen?
I can show.
Okay.
Astrophus
How much time
goes,
do we have left on the door? Azra doesn't want to be
hold
gone
on.
long enough. That long.
Yes. Astrophus, like, looks around, takes a book off the shelf, right? And produces a pen from somewhere, turns to the back of the book, finds an empty page, rips the page out. He didn't look at what book it was, you're pretty sure. And
Octavia looks around at all the pages on the floor.
yeah. That
Oh, remember that was
he
an illusion.
doesn't. We're gonna see
but
if he catches that. The first was a natural one, so no, he does not. Writes down something, hands it to specifically to Sylvie, and asks you if you will point her to the mess, or point you guys to the mess. And you glance at the piece of paper, it just says food and nourishment. Like,
Did he sign it?
yeah,
Okay.
that was the main point of it. And he goes, I just assume,
Probably not. No.
huh?
I will give Sylvie instructions on how to get to the kitchen and the mess hall from here.
And Ember, when she sees you start to go, goes, I will help carry with you. So you give them instructions. Sylvie takes off, and you get the impression that, yes, your help will be appreciated too.
I'm gonna use my 4 remaining key points to do Step of the Wind, so that I can potentially beat her to the kitchen.
Sylvie or Ember?
Yes. Yes.
Sylvie, no, because tabaxis have that mobility thing. So
Yeah,
they
but then
can,
they have to stop for a turn. They can't move.
yeah, but she already has 45 feet. It's not.
So she goes.
The kitchen is long distance, I'm assuming. It's not just like right on
So
the
she
floor.
can go. Yeah, she can go 90 in a turn, but then she has to stop. But then she can go 90, but then she has to stop. I can go 90, 135
No stops.
in a turn. Yeah.
Right,
only
but
4
she
times.
has. They.
I don't have to. It was flavor.
I'm
thought it
trying
would
to
be
figure.
fun.
I know now. I'm getting stuck in it because she does have. She can dash, and I was trying to remember whether it was double their, like, bonus action dash. I was trying to remember if it's double their movement.
Is it-
I don't.
You just get your movement again. And
No,
if it's,
but with the tabaxi specific, if it doubles their movement for the turn, which is I thought how it worked.
doubling your movement for the turn is the way that you, like, 'cause normally your movement for the turn is the most you can move, and then when you dash, it doubles the total you can move, and then you can move that much. And if it's dash as a bonus action, then you do that 3 times. Because move action, action to move.
You guys tie.
Okay.
I have no idea. But yeah, and you look back and Ember seems to be moving even slower than normal, and you don't know if it's to make a point or like what. And she gets there, and she just like for a split second you wonder if you're like in trouble for your resources or
Yeah.
something. She winks at you and she goes, "We have 10 minutes." I might need, all of my abilities from sitting out fight entirely, maybe? Anyway, food is heavy. I'm old. And just smiles at both of you. And Sylvie is like, she disappears like into the kitchen while you guys are talking, comes back and goes, we have to wait.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense, huh?
And she smiles and she's like, it still makes sense to have them start sooner. They're possibly very hungry.
Yep. So yeah, we're chilling in the kitchen.
Oh, go ahead.
In the vault, I'm gonna start like trying to get the names of the people who are up and awake. And if the other people know what the names of the people who are sleeping are, I'll get those as well.
Oh yeah,
Just, like, write
they
them
know
down.
all the details of everybody. They've been in here too long. Have you've said Ori's name several times. You haven't
I spoke
provided
directly-
much context.
I spoke directly with Ori, and I told him that it was me.
Right, but I mean, for the sake of like, what does Ronnie know? This the
I
only
did
thing.
hear
Oh,
him.
I don't-
You heard.
I heard her say
Ori's
Ori.
Yeah,
name.
I said, Ori, it's me, it's Azra.
Okay,
Yeah.
so
And also, you might have an impression of what Ori looks like if you caught a glimpse of the first fight with the Obelix when it presented Ori to me.
yeah, make a history check. It's a low DC.
$18.
Yeah, you recognize, it takes you a second to know where from, because the boy who made the joke at you looks,
The handsome,
I
yeah.
thought you would catch that,
Yeah.
maybe nobody else. Yeah, looks familiar to you, and you're like, where? And, yes, very good looking. He appears to be kind of like, he looks like Middle Eastern. Tall, cute, real cute. He's got like a very like little boy haircut kind of, with just the part and the side sweep. It keeps falling into his eyes. Outside, Astrophus seems to be gathering himself, and he looks at you, Brana, and he goes, "Do you have any healing that you can offer?"
Let me check real quick. This is
While you're checking, he looks at you and he goes, I know you are a healer, and I'm sure I know some of your resources got used. If you don't mind, sir, can you do the first healing you do? Make sure I can see you clearly and what it is. I will be able to duplicate temporarily some of your effects
Oh, very good.
to help with the others.
I still have
Spell
a...
sniper.
Once I've got the names of everyone in there, I'll go back to the door and like knock, knock, knock. Hello? And then whoever answers me, I will tell them who's in this room.
Go ahead.
oh, go ahead. I just had the thing for Astrophus.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh,
Yeah,
I take the quill out of Astrophus' hand and get some paper and start writing the names down.
yeah.
I can use healing hands, but that's all I got.
I mean, like, for some of them, it will surely help. Like, whatever you can do. I'm going to try and mimic some of Astrophus, and, shit, I really should have had them gather any healing. Well, I guess we had... Anyway.
Wish I
He
had
just,
done
like,
that to
trails
the
off.
spell.
Huh? None of them appear to be on death's door, from what you can see, Ronnie. Once, Ori gathers what you're doing, kind of like watches, he goes, there were two more. We don't know what happened to them, and it was early on. We believe them to be dead.
Do you know their names?
We do not.
Can you describe what they look like?
One of them was a half elf, and the other human, both young, and you see him just struggling just to make all the words. Both young, both male, human, and he just fills you in on the details. It's nothing that like seems particularly significant to you. He goes, they were both upperclassmen, so like no idea. TA maybe. Nothing jumps out at you.
Okay, and then I will ask him. Was there ever a djinn in here?
That's right, because you still think. Yeah.
And you can't give me my memory back while I'm in here.
No, yeah. And also, Azure wouldn't know, I don't think. Azure wouldn't know that one was false, I don't think, because her memory got wiped, so.
Yeah, not yet. And Ember didn't even think about it.
Rip.
You hear, from one of the, bodies that's like prone that you assumed to be sleeping, someone you have heard called Nimbo, was like, with the air of somebody who has very little control over their voice volume, goes, there better not have been! And the other two, like, bodies that are over there start shuffling. It's clear that they were woken up, and, that is, the person seems to roll over and go back to sleep. It was a very weird interaction.
Is that just a racist? Someone who's anti-Jin?
It's just straight racist.
Yeah.
I mean, they're a monster race, but they're good aligned.
Yeah.
About that time,
Wow.
Yeah, I'm like, okay.
food comes out.
Really rude,
Someone has some
yeah.
things to work through. And apparently a lot of time in a cramped room with a different kind of people wasn't enough.
Yeah.
Food comes out. At some point while you're waiting for it, Ember's like, fuck. And she takes out from like a little pouch she has on her a bunch of silvery wiggly strands, and it's like, somebody might need these right away. I don't know. Anyway, yes, memory is here.
Azure will...
You're
Not in the
you're
room.
not in the kitchen.
We're in the
Oh, this is the
kitchen.
kitchen. I forgot.
She's
Yeah,
just
this
like,
is not there.
and
Who are those for? Do you have to... Like...
But it's more like a...
Oh, they're not crunchy, so sorry.
Ember looks at them for a minute. Roll me a perception check. It's not a...
Natural 20. The secrets of the universe. Because that's a 28.
She... Actually, like, I'm not going to take it, but just change the, not perception, arcana. It's still the 20, but...
21.
Okay.
Secrets of some of the universe.
She's
It's,
not
I mean, it's still natural 20.
She's not a book learning
That
gal.
just changes nothing,
Yeah.
except what it was.
I mean, if you want to go ahead and make it a deception, it
Aren't
could
you
be a
literally
19.
traveling the world to get a record of the world's
It's a
knowledge?
deception. At disadvantage, because why not? I'm just mean. No, you don't know how... There's no way she should be able to discern from each other which ones are which one. But she looks at it for a second with like this air of intense concentration and kind of looks at all of them and then fishes one of these wiggly worms out and like slaps you on the forehead with it. And you're like... And in that moment, your memory is returned, like all of it. There might be a changeling on the way. The whole conversation with Ember, which in that moment you recognize was faster than you having that conversation again. And yeah, you know that what's his face? Aliphan. That Aliphan was not in the. Is presumably safe as anybody is.
Is it Aliphan or Alvin?
It's Aliphan.
It's Aliphan.
Okay, I was
Alophen. Alophen.
okay. I was fully like of Chipmunks fame. Like
Now I kind of wish his name was Alvin. But no, Alophen.
okay.
Yeah, Octavia just goes. That was weird.
And then the food comes out, and Ember she takes she's always been the shoulder the load type. You know that she takes less than she could technically handle, and she goes, "My turn," and takes off, and you know that is she showing off? Yeah, but also she just realized that she had these memories, so she took less than she could technically handle to get everybody else's memories back to them.
That's fair. Okay. Yeah, I follow.
She gets back. You guys are just barely behind, really. And Sylvie,
Chicken nuggies.
Sport.
We
stays
just killed
with
Yobel.
you.
We can have some.
You guys get back about that time, which has been an hour in real time
Yep.
and 10 minutes in the game. You guys get back. You are all, Ember comes back and just hands you the jar. And is like, this is before you get there. But she's just like, this is, Octavia has hers, but other memories. And your note is in the jar that you wrote yourself as well.
Oh, we put that in a jar. Okay.
Just mixed it up.
Yeah.
Unless you had it somewhere else.
That's just soggy with.
Yes.
There.
It's just a
My
note.
fifth grade teacher's in here.
Yeah. It's just a note in a jar full of shirataki noodles.
Yeah.
And then shortly after they get back, you've finished getting the names of everyone that they know. And the vault door, with a creak and very slowly, it seems starts to open. It's there's no beeping or anything. There's almost no warning. You hear an audible gasp from the students who are still low key, and the door opens. Alibreath, you see in front of you, well, both of you see incredible need walking through the door. You can do a lot to make sure they're stabilized, and honestly the best thing you can do is heal them enough to sleep well, at which point so you'll be huge jump start with whatever you can do towards their recovery process. And all of a sudden you feel even without greater restoration or anything like that, it is extremely good that you're here.
So we're free now.
You are, when the door opens, the other two and the kind of the bedrolls at the corner kind of start getting out. You come out, you feel your breeze start to return. The students start shuffling out. How does anybody react, or what do? You see this horde of a dozen people looking haggard and rough, and
I get back on my feet.
it's just
Was that a short rest during all the time that we were waiting for the door to open?
I'll say yes for the sake of the story. Not usually, but yeah, it's fine.
I mean, short rests are usually 10 minutes anyway, right? Or they're an hour?
They're an hour.
Oh, okay.
But I like the flavor, and I feel bad that Alibreath had to waste a high-level spell in a completely logical move. So, yeah, short rest. It was a short fight, technically, so.
Yeah.
I can only get one person with my thing. So I'll
do you guys wait until they're out and
How many
kind of
now?
assess, or do you
Yeah.
start firing off, or what happens?
How many of them are there again? 12.
There are a dozen total.
Do some math real quick.
I'm just gonna help the people who are having trouble walking get out.
At first, you guys on the outside only see like 9 because there were 3 that are still kind of like getting up. Yeah, you start helping people. There is like a little step, and you find yourself doing very much the flight attendant thing of like, watch your stuff. As people start coming out, what is Azra doing?
Azra's sort of frozen. She's stuck between moving to help people and moving to hide, so she just doesn't really move.
So, with no restrictions on how I can cast, I'm going to hit 2 shots of Channel Divinity.
Ooh.
Huh?
Ooh.
Everybody gets 7.5 points of healing back. All of them.
Brana, I'm going to do this through your eyes. As you glance over, you're kind of like assessing individually, because some definitely do look worse than others based on their, like, one of the, like, the 3rd or 4th one out the door is just like a dwarven woman. She looks to be doing better than most of the other, you know, just depending on constitutions. And then, like, you glance over, and you've seen Alabroth heal more than one person at a time. He's split healing frequently before you. But I think maybe Brana feels a new, like, perspective in that moment as you watch this extremely powerful chosen cleric of Bahamut just hit everyone in this big group of people who all, they don't heal completely, but all of them at once look better. And they're just like, you swear you could see like silvery like sparkles come off of them for a minute.
I was gonna say, you're an Asimar, so you can probably like see that it's divine or whatever.
Yeah. And like with Ronnie, sometimes you don't know what his weird shit is. But like with Bahamut, it's very, or with Alabroth, it's very clearly like he's just very in tune in that moment. And you're just like, I'm going to say, maybe you find yourself wondering if that kind of attunement is where you're headed or if it looks different or whatever. But you also feel a slight flush in your skin as the other being inside you maybe is saying something like, see, isn't cool? But it's just an awesome sight.
Is there anyone else that's a little more worse for wear within the dozen?
You're looking around, there's like 2 or 3, you're trying to prioritize maybe who's the worse off, and it's a weird, upsetting ranking to have to do, like force ranking by who needs it the
But
most.
also you can grab one, right?
Yeah, remember, I can also grab one.
I can also
No, I'm just trying to see
grab
who
the
needs
number
it.
of spell slots I have left. But I do need to ask Astrophus what's going on, because he's like doing a team up thing, and I was in the vault whenever he discussed that.
Astrophus, like, Alabroth, make a perception check for me.
You want to roll your dice. In.
It's not great. 11.
That's enough to catch that, like, you fire off your, like, mass healing, and you feel pretty good, and then you're like, oh, fuck, I was supposed to let him watch, and then you see him, like, he has his hand out, he's doing, like, a bad, like, mimic of you, and you realize he looks confused, and maybe he couldn't do that anyway. And he was like, I didn't miss anything. I have no divinity. It's fine.
Yeah,
I will get the...
I wanted to try to get to as many people
Yes,
as I could.
no. Excellent.
what-
That's his priority. I can kind of copy some spells. Some.
If we find someone else that I could show you cure wounds or...
I
Yeah,
also
sure.
have cure wounds. I can help do that too.
So in between you guys and Astrophus, you're able to prioritize, like, even, like... Yeah, it's only the people who look the healthiest.
Even 7 points is going to...
Yeah, it takes anybody who is...
Ground,
Yeah, they walk a little faster.
There are also very long cushions that Octavia's
Yeah,
grabbed.
it's kind of funny. They got up, they walked like 6 steps, and they just kind of collapsed back on the cushions. I'm gonna come to you in a second, but like, Ronnie, make a dexterity saving throw for me.
I'd also like to go over to Azra and go, good job not dying this time.
19.
I mean, thanks. I think you helped for sure.
Okay.
Twas the goal.
Distracting.
Didn't want to repeat of last time. And I kind of
You start handing
pat her
out
on
soup
the shoulder,
kitchen
just like,
style like food.
I am happy that, like,
What did I need to do a dex save for?
As you come out and you're kind of helping them over that step, and then you don't fall down, but as one of the ones that you weren't really paying attention to in the corner comes out, you're just starting to pay attention to them to help them through the door. You are fully almost picked up and spun around in a complete circle as somebody who seems to have a lot more energy than most of them, like, rushes through the door. And you look up, everybody looks up because you got spun in a circle.
Who's that with their hands?
And picked up.
You look up, and one of the ones that was in the corner, you see this incredibly striking, only about like 5'6" maybe, but the most beautiful, like, dark blue skin with all these crackles that kind of glow in this like yellowish, and then you see a swirling of the papers near him as you recognize, maybe for the first time in your life, another Air Genasi. It has hair like the storms. It's very long, it's flowing, and it kind of models through this like gray, silver, white. And it's the one that you heard called Nimbo, which suddenly makes sense to you.
That's another one.
But yes, an Air Genasi mixed with something else, and you recognize the effects of like a tornado on your person as your winds collided in that instance.
Cold and hot front coming together.
Well, that was very attuned.
And he's like stretching out, and he goes, "It feels good to be back!" And you recognize a voice almost like a thunderclap, as this is a storm genasi, which is a subset of air.
I didn't know that.
Different Pokemon evolution of this evening, if you will.
Basically, very much, but like,
Is that Ronnie's reaction? Just
let's say Ronnie's a shiny. It looks different, kind of, but like, yeah, this little like kind of, he's got kind of like cute pudgy on it. He's really cute, but his voice is big and booming.
He's fluffy.
Yeah, and that is Nimbo. And you're not. You recognize by the air because he looks very different.
Yeah.
I'm gonna walk over there just to see who is this manhandling one of our party members.
Well, especially since I'm several inches taller than him.
Yes, but very wavy.
Yeah, I am very wavy.
And you have you look
Well, I
him
mean,
over.
I'm pretty built. I'm just like, I give that impression. That I'm
It actually wasn't you. It's the literal like hot and cold front of a tornado.
Yeah.
But yeah, you recognize kind of reminds you of your little sister. There's nothing hidden about the energy surrounding him. He's goofy, he's playful, but you get like kind of the air, even though you don't see any recognition on Ronnie's face, of when your sister like tackling you for funsies. Like, this guy's all big energy, but it's not.
And they were locked in the room too. Okay.
Yeah.
Friend of yours, Ronnie?
Never met him.
You think back and you're like, because if there was a djinn in there, and they didn't help or anything,
I mean,
Like-
would they have been able to?
who knows, but he would have been pissed if like they came in there and they didn't do anything and their power was totally subverted or whatever. You don't know who he would have been mad at, but also makes sense that she's half asleep and was just like, better not have been help here that we couldn't use as help and whatever. Nimbo meets your gaze with like kind of like a playful energy. You know, some people that like trauma seems to fall off of them almost. Like they could be very whiny in the moment of what they need. But if they have it, they seem to like rebalance really quickly. That's the air you get. You recognize this as a quality that you've seen from some like fighters in the arena, just people that like live very much in the present in a lot of ways. But he's not, you would guess, not full strength yet, but reinvigorated by the presence of his magic, which you do identify with, having had yours stripped from you for brief times.
And seeing Ronnie suffer when his wind wasn't around.
Yeah, like, yeah, it's like a cool breeze.
Like a Zawa from friggin' My Hero.
Just
Oh yeah.
We're locked in the room, and Ronnie couldn't get it. He's just like,
Yeah, and Ronnie like picked up a lot in energy as soon as you left. But that's the energy you get. Azra,
Just a second.
go ahead.
Me and
You can
him were
rewind
talking.
a minute. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So you came up and you sort of clasped Azra on the shoulder and.
yeah, actually
Yeah.
happy that you didn't die. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's kind of what I was afraid of.
She replies, yes, it was good not to go down. I'm looking to be less the center of attention for a little while. Thank you for, not just now, but last time as well. You've been so helpful. Yeah.
Well, these are our friends. I count you amongst them.
Okay.
Azra knows that word, right? What do you do as they're shuffling out? Do you actually? Because if you,
I mean, she is. I think even like she when you started talking to her initially, I think she still had her eyes on the people coming out of the door, and when she actually speaks back to you, she focuses on you, and then she cuts back to looking at the people at the door, and you can tell that even though she is like she's looking at like every person's face, and literally like a bead of sweat coming down her brow.
Ori kind of had before this like Nimbo thing. You can see he goes back to the corner and he's helping the other two just like get up and stuff, like making sure they're awake. They don't seem to be disproportionately injured or anything to the others, but you see like go ahead and make an insight check for me as the one who can see more.
And I'm very closely paying attention to Azra.
I rolled a nat one
Oof.
for a total of 3.
So you guys, the rooms there.
These are actually camellias.
Do you guys take time to do you reabsorb your memory? Do you?
Oh yeah.
I think I probably already did that.
Okay. It
Yeah,
takes only like a minute. Or...
Yeah, just like sort
Yeah.
through them and then hand them out, basically.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Ember
Like
also
snack
took
time.
care of giving Sylvie hers back. when she
Azra
came out.
snorts hers like it's Adderall.
It's super
That's
weird.
very common in academia.
Yeah.
Like
You
it's,
don't need to snort the Adderall. You can just take the
it's about how fast it enters your bloodstream. Kids, don't abuse drugs.
do I just slap my head? Do I eat it?
Really, any way that you get it in your system will work. You could. Some people like the comfort of like dipping it in their ear. It's like giving your ear a clean. Some people feel it doesn't actually do that.
Absolutely not. He's just gonna slurp it like a noodle.
It tastes like a noodle.
Some people soak it in a wet rag and they just let it soak overnight, like they're doing a facial or something.
Terribly inefficient, but yes, it would work.
I mean, that sounds
Yeah.
more pleasant than putting it in your ear.
But there are enough of us around.
Some people are
that
weird.
speak
I don't know what to tell you,
about,
bro.
Like everybody.
He's gonna like itch his ear now.
You probably not quite yet.
I mean, it would nothing.
You mean
I'm
the
saying would
group
be
of-
secret. No, just within the team. Just everyone, while our victory here is grand, we have greater concerns. We still need to go and see about the king.
Did you give Ronnie his memory back?
You were the first one, probably.
I mean, probably not, because I was stuck in the vault for half that time. Or at
True.
least some of that time.
I'd say you probably walk up and hand it to him, but he's not sure what to do. Like, you're still ushering people out, maybe, and now you've been handed
I'm
this
holding
thing.
it like
Yeah.
a bowl of soup, and I just go up, 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 up.
See, in my head,
Open wide, here comes the choo-choo.
it was
Start
just
putting
like
it on Ronnie's hand like Ash Wednesday, just like
Take one of the spoons from the kitchen, you're like, mm.
and here I am, like, do y'all remember the like flex tape commercials where he just like slaps the
Yeah.
just
And the infamous meme that follows.
can't remember
Like,
things. It's just that easy.
Meanwhile, Sylvie was like, this baby can hold. Two different memes.
You probably see Ronnie, like, his energy, like, wilt a little,
Yeah.
and then he'll tell you that your friend is cute. He doesn't
And with
expect
that
any
high
kind of
school
response.
energy and this kind of weird shaped session, we're going to take a break.
Oh, okay.
We'll be back in a few.
Alright.
We're back. We definitely weren't talking about even nerdier things or as nerdy things.
of course not.
During the break, nobody obsessed over figures with a crack in them. Nobody talked Lord of the Rings. Like, it's
Nobody
fun.
here is
For
a
sure.
nerd.
I am mad as hell.
No one here is a nerd at all.
Oh yeah, we're all gonna.
This is just
Yeah.
the super cool show now.
Really, pretty much all of us have to cover up our t-shirts.
Actually, no. Me is the only, me is
yeah.
the only one that doesn't have to.
I assume it's covering up something super nerdy underneath.
No, it's an MCR t-shirt.
You know what? That we're gonna throw that into band nerds.
Come
so.
on.
MCR is for nerds, but not directly nerdy.
Yes, but if you're over 25 wearing the shirt.
I went to their reunion concert.
So did Kyle. You guys need to stop rubbing it in. I saw them before they were cool. I didn't, but I saw them while they were cool. 3 cheers for Sweet Revenge Tour.
I think I ended up, when I took that test, on the normie part.
Oh,
I'm
wow.
like, wow.
It's the jock nerd goth prep test, and I was all the way in goth and nerd.
That's
knew?
solidly where I would fall. Like,
That is probably where I should fall, but
Nerd job.
I was a LARP nerd.
yeah.
Nice.
I think you would get the nerd jock cross too because of like working out.
Wait, sorry, nerd jock isn't an option. Nerd
I-
and jock are the opposite.
They're on the
Oh,
same
sure.
spectrum.
No. I literally
Opposite
played
spectrum.
football and chased the other nerds around trying to
I
play
mean, we
D&D
know
with them.
in real life it's an option because
I think we'd be neutral.
both of you are
Yeah,
nerd jocks
qualities
in
of
real
both.
life, so they might both actually fall in normie too, with their twisted tests.
I think that's why I fell into normie.
Is you just
Is-
hit all the
I
quadrants.
I have some very distinct jock tendencies that are just not accounted for by this quadrant.
Anyways,
I took a similar test yesterday, and it told me that I'm probably autistic. Surprising no one, including myself.
That was a psychiatrist visit. Anyway.
I mean,
I was saying, did you take a BuzzFeed quiz? that
No, no.
told
It,
you-
it,
I don't know that I would trust that.
also, guys, my IQ
yeah, yeah.
It's a
179.
179, and I'm Miranda.
And I am a slice of brie cheese.
Yeah,
Can't
all
even really
equally valid and totally official.
Which
Anyway.
one's the one played by Kim Cattrall?
No.
That's
We are moving
the,
on.
That's the one I am.
No,
You're
we are
asking the
not.
wrong
Samantha.
group.
We are not talking about sex.
Samantha?
So-
Is she the brassy one?
I don't know. I'm
No idea.
Anyway,
What is brassy
So
as a
let's just stick
descriptor?
with
What does that
people.
mean?
it's like talks
It's what-
about sex too much and too loud, basically.
Oh, I
Yeah.
thought we were talking about her hair. That's just like kind of dull and not great.
That's kind of all of them fell in a range. Anyway,
Oh, thank you so much. I was just about to like bash my head into unconsciousness before
you're
I talk
not
about
sitting,
that.
as far as I know, among any actual fans of this show.
no, I've never watched
just-
it.
I think I've seen 2 episodes, maybe.
Yeah.
I saw a portion of an episode my mom was watching whenever
like
I was
chaos.
definitively too young to be watching it, realized what was happening, and was like, this is not for me, and left.
I saw Sex and the City, the second movie, as part of a bad movie night. And you're there.
No, thank you. So, back in the library, which is
Poor Jason
something
beats
maybe
himself
those
to the
characters have
cups.
heard of. Not to be that guy. Yes. So, you come back in. We're kind of in the middle of a lot of stuff, but Alabroth has conveyed, like, oh, we do have stuff to do. You and Ember are handing out food. You are kind of, I guess, probably, what do you do?
I am here to help where needed. Like I can.
I feel like you're kind of floating, helping people sit
Yeah.
down,
Yeah, that's
helping
what
with
I
the
figured we
soup
were going.
kitchen, helping with
Yeah,
whatever.
If anyone runs out of healing spells, I have one for anyone that needs it, but I don't think we're going to.
Yeah.
I think probably maybe somebody's, and you can decide if you applied it here, like stumbled out the door. There would be one that caught your eye. That was maybe not that much worse off, but in that moment, you definitely see there's a couple of clear opportunities you can choose from. And you probably do expend that if you're.
Yeah, I will
willing.
drop chilly knowledge on Azra and then wander off toward Astraphus.
What knowledge?
Chilly knowledge.
And I
Chilly
need to talk to
knowledge?
Astraphus before we go too.
What?
It's, I can't explain that phrasing.
Okay.
Fair.
Would it be not safe for work? Is this stream for kids?
No, it's
It better fucking not be.
it's one that I understand in context and cannot explain.
Googling Urban Dictionary chilly knowledge.
Okay,
I
so
mean, I got it from Good Omens.
we'll say
so-
that, like, I'm gonna make
Which means-
Azra wait a little bit more as she is googling something. Straphus is available. I will say you probably, I don't know how many healing spells you're planning on.
I mean, I haven't run across anybody else like that would need more, but
No idea.
I still got a couple of second levels and first levels. I got quite a few still in me.
I would say between, how many cure wounds do you have, Mia, Ronnie?
I have 6 spell slots, and I can cast it at any of those levels.
I probably
So
got
I have 6 cure wounds in me.
8 charges left in me.
So if you guys are willing, I will take down half of your remaining apiece. I don't know
Okay.
specifically what you would need for the.
I hit a bunch of them with second level, so
Okay.
Okay, I'll just use
And-
all my first level ones.
so yeah, 2
And
second
it's-
level, 2 first level, so that's 4 for me.
Straphus expends basically everything he has. He's been without magic for like most of recently, and he knows he's probably not going anywhere, so he's not too worried about it.
I do need to speak to the headmaster before we take off. So
He's easy enough to pull aside after you guys take a
it's
few
nothing
minutes.
private or anything, but I do tell him. So with your knowledge of magic and some of the components used for it, I was wondering if anywhere in the school or in your personal study, I could procure a looking glass or a crystal ball of some sort.
Sure. There are usually some sort of how much does it need to cost essentially?
Let's see, because I need it for a very for a component. 1,000 GP. Wow.
He goes,
I may not have that kind of. Wait. Probably.
Astraphus goes, the school certainly owes you. I can get to you from inside the vaults if you wish. I can get to you a certainly earned a +2 magic weapon and a crystal ball as well in payment for your help.
It's not so much payment. It's. I think this would. I'm quite frankly between you and I think I'm moving past weapons.
That is bold, and you look him over. He doesn't carry any weapons on him himself, and he's like, it is, can be scary for someone who has grown up in the very much the physical realms to let go of that. It's certainly, I believe, probably your biggest strength lies in your, and he kind of sums you up because you're huge. And he goes, in your ability to take a hit as need be, and in the magic that you're able to channel through your divinity.
Since traveling with these, I found that I thought once my strength would lie in what I could do physically, but it would seem protecting them is more of something I need to excel at. Perhaps, and I kind of hold up my shield, perhaps a new shield or something to enhance magic is more the proper way to go. If you haven't seen, the one with the daggers is quite adept at stabbing things.
Well, I definitely agree. Make an insight check for me.
Ooh, insight? That is a 28.
You
I got a
know,
+9 insight, and I rolled a 19. So.
Nice, yeah.
you know, he kind of smiles a little bit. He's kind of too tired to, like, fake stuff. And you know you're almost 100% certain that he's the reason your mace disappeared. Or your cursed weapon. And he looks, the smile is somebody who is proud a little bit of himself for giving you the final push. In the kind of like getting rid of your cursed weapon, but you don't feel the attachment that you immediately felt when you woke up to like seek it out. So you know that enchantment has seemed to have dropped from you, and you realize the level of anger you had towards not being able to find it was a little bit a function of the curse itself. But yeah, he's like, did you have, that is good news. Did you have something specific in mind?
Oh, yeah. I show him kind of the amulet of devout that I carry. This has been quite useful in spell casting. I've heard stories of shields that have magical properties. Maybe something like that would be something to procure at some point, but the focusing more on magic, especially with this new amulet, has been very fruitful for the group.
Let me think on that. I might be able to... Yes, let me think. It's an amulet
Like
of protection, right?
And, no, the amulet of the devout, and I have a +1 right now. It's the one we picked up.
Yeah. I remember what it does.
Also, out of character, I was looking at Sentinel shields. They're like awesome as hell.
I will look at it. Send me Discord me a reminder of that. You'll get the crystal ball and something else, and I'll look at the shields for what that is, because it's very much actually in character with what I have in mind. For all of you, what I have in mind some stuff. They will not be weapons focused. They will be, because it's an academic institution for the most part. I was going to make the exception for Elizabeth, who actually fits right in character. That's not something he's pursuing right now. So that's good. You're free to make some suggestions if you want with the types of stuff that you would want. Like,
Mine's definitely those two things.
Okay, the
Unless they have
crystal ball for...
some extra large plate laying around.
No,
was the small set
it's
we
going to
found?
be more. It's going to be more other stuff that's not armor or weapons. It can enhance your magic, maybe help you recover faster. Stuff like that. Recover spell slots, spell components, that kind of thing.
More polite boots for...
Stuff like that. You find stuff that's utility, not that it cannot be combat related at all, but is more academic in nature, based on boosting magic, recovering spell slots, and components mostly for roleplay or combat purposes. Cool. Yeah, and I will look at those shields specifically. If not, we'll try and get you something that's...
Send it to you. Yeah.
Yeah. Azra. You... What do you do? It's becomes clear to you at some point, like, he's not, like, rushing out the door. You know that he's in there, but he kind of sticks, and he's, Ronnie with his nat 1 doesn't notice the mirrored almost hesitation.
Yeah, he casually wanders off to go heal.
I think Azra will wait until, like, no one else is coming out. And if there's a solid, like, I don't know, 10 seconds, she'll start looking at the crowd of people out, realize that Ori is not there, and she will take a breath and just go, and then she will start walking towards the vault door.
As you start walking, like, it's kind of awkward because the three were in the corner and one of them rushed out. And then you take a step and then you see another one, like, trickle out and you're like, wait, are they done? Everyone else still hiding. Do you keep walking?
Is the door fully open, or is it, like...
It's fully open, but it opens with the door side towards, like, what's pretty close to the wall, so you can't really be all the way on the other side peering in unless you set yourself up peering. It's not because of the way the door opens, but you know what I mean. Like, most of the vault is mostly on one side, and to see inside the vault and all the way back, which runs the width of the library, you'd have to be, like, right up against the bookcase, like, pushing back into it to see. You can't passively see inside without trying.
Azra does whatever she can with her hair to cover her forehead. Although what I'm thinking is with the way her hair is cut, she probably can't do that. She doesn't have bangs, and she's got, like, a long
I mean,
hair.
she can try.
She can try, yeah.
It glows through anyway.
No,
but
I know.
The self-conscious gesture makes sense.
She
could sweep.
No,
Girls know this. You could sweep a part over to the side, and then it will cover a good portion of your forehead.
I don't know if she wants that look, though. She doesn't want...
It's like not 2007 anymore.
I was
Yeah,
gonna
exactly.
say, we call that the 2008.
Yeah.
I was thinking of Pamela Anderson, like very 90210 kind of big fluffy beach waves.
But she has a realization, and she quickly steps into the vault, knowing that it will stop glowing.
Ooh. You see,
So actually, well, if the door's open, I guess she isn't quite sure. But if the door's open, yeah, she goes in and she's
make
hoping.
a perception check.
I think it's 13.
You notice that, like, Ronnie's wind seems to be in, like, as he was at first when he was standing in the doorway, that the wind seemed to be largely from one side, and you're like, even with the door open, it seems to not affect the magic suppression.
And I think she's constantly aware that, like, at the top of her vision, like in that where you can't really see your eyebrows, but, like, you can sort of see it.
If you didn't have any, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, she knows that there's, like, a blue tint to the top part of her vision. Basically, she can always sense when it is on. And so the first time it turned off when she went into Astrophis' office, she realized, oh, wow, that blue light hasn't been gone in a long time. And I think when she steps in and feels it go away, she knows.
Yeah. You step in, takes a second for your eyes to adjust the light, and you look over, and Ori is helping somebody get all the way to their feet in the corner. He's not looking at you yet, although that perception check can apply to the same thing. You notice a like kind of stiffening understanding of another presence. This kid has some PTSD from recent experiences. So, you know, he's aware that there's somebody else in the room again. And she wasn't trying to be that stealthy or anything.
No. I think she stands silhouetted in the doorway.
Let me go. Because sometimes in real life you know who it is. Yeah, you think he knows it's you. He turns around kind of slowly and he looks at you and he hasn't been hit. Because all time is all crazy here. He hasn't actually been hit with the healing yet. You see him like kind of hesitate for a second and not like entirely react in a measurable way. And because you know somebody specific in here like nobody else does, you see the wear and tear on him. And he looks at you and then he looks away to what he's doing and kind of takes all his focus on getting them, kind of hands them off to Ronnie, who's still there right then. And then he goes, hello. And you see his eagerness to get out of the vault.
Hey, Ori. And she'll step sort of to the side of the door.
He goes, hello. He walks out the door and you see his head start to turn and then just kind of like refocus on what he's doing. Make an insight check for me.
18.
You recognize the air of like him being just like, he gets very, very focused when he's that tired on, I'm going to do this thing and this other thing and then this other thing and then I can rest from like finals week.
The countdown of things that you need to achieve before you can stop doing things.
And you don't think it's a specific thing at you in this moment, but there is an air of I can't process all of this immediately. And you glance outside the vault. He helps them sit down. It's a half dwarven male, young-ish, just starting to have like a tartan pattern, but his beard's still kind of short. And his beard and
Are these the last people in the vault?
Yeah.
I think since he redirected his focus pretty quickly, I think Azur just lets them pass out of the vault, and I think she lingers in the vault. And she maybe starts pacing. And stops. Well, like, as he's helping someone else out, I think she, like, stops observing him and is just kind of, like, lost in thoughts in the vault.
He kind of paced back and forth. Octavia, make a perception check for me.
You said you were watching the whole time, weren't you?
I said I was, yeah. 21.
You see Astrophus watch all that happen and then like take a big deep breath like okay, I'm gonna move again. And you recognize from your very early days that we did a fight and there's still more day left kind of vibe. As Astrophus goes up to Ori, puts his hand on his shoulder and immediately starts talking to him as if to provide some sort of like buffer or something.
Can I hear what he's saying?
No, only because you said you're also specifically serving food. You can observe and you can be in tune, but like not specifically, not more than bits and pieces. And it seems like very focused, like kind of logistical questions.
Okay.
Is Octavia serving food by herself?
No,
I'm
Amber's
helping.
helping, Brana's helping.
Presumably
As you
Sylvia's
guys,
helping.
huh?
I said presumably Sylvia's helping.
Sylvia's helping.
Okay,
And
just-
after a few minutes, y'all kind of look around and you're like, wow, Jira must be a pretty good spy. Because he's been here, I guess. It has that, and you recognize a similarity to, some of you know, another spy who just seems to just perception filter away.
Batman.
Daniel.
Yeah. Whose presence
That
can
even is
barely
your
be
name.
noticed.
If that even is his name.
My worst student. But Jira's also helping.
I'm gonna go find Nimbo.
Nimbo is not hard to spot. He is eating with like this voracious appetite.
With gusto.
Yeah. Nerd.
Wow.
And you almost like wonder for a second, then you're like, no. Is the air helping him eat fast? No.
No, that'd be weird.
No, but he stops at one point. It's kind of like a chicken like soup thing. It's nourishing and it smells pretty good, and there's plenty. So as you guys like wrap up, you're free to have some yourself. And
Oh, yeah.
I will take that option.
Jira's nearby just ingesting bones.
I do make a point to go sit over by Octavia with my bowl of soup and just kind of go like, "Good job, buddy."
Thank you.
While I eat, just
But yeah, Nimbo is voraciously.
I'm gonna.
He burps at one point. It's the loudest burp you've ever heard.
Hi.
You sound like a breeze. I guess that's probably part of it.
I'm gonna guess that everybody heard that.
Everybody hears everything he says.
Yeah.
He's the only one speaking anywhere close to this volume.
A character who shouts all of his words. You seem similar to me.
He responds, his mouth is full of soup. He's just like, yeah, do you not know what you are?
I do know some things.
You grew up with the other one, the mortal?
Yeah.
Yeah. That makes sense. Yeah. He takes another bite. Like, it's clear that he's tired too, but his comes out in these kind of like bursts of like, and he kind of like flattens in between when he's talking. Very much like an air system.
No, Ronnie's just like, I would like to. He does not say this out loud. This is what Ronnie is thinking. He's like, I would like to have a conversation with this person, but I don't think that I want to have it with half of it being announced as though through a megaphone to everyone else in the room.
I feel like that's fair.
He, well, actually, okay. They're two different roles. Like, he, all of a sudden, in a language you very rarely heard out loud, but know how to speak yourself, he switches to primordial. And his voice somehow gets even louder. But you know that it's a language that most people don't speak. It's not that no one could overhear it, but it sounds like it's a little louder. And then he does soften it somewhat, and he's like, he goes, "Is common too hard for you?" That's fine. I mean,
I speak common fine.
Really?
Yeah.
So no language.
And do you know how to find the djinn?
Not, I mean, lots of it, but yeah, like they were Usually, within a few, they kind of move. They do have a place they come hang out for brief periods. I think it's pretty new. It's not too far from the. Do you know where the Lost Islands are?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Quite
it's
well.
kind of like, so like, Lacros like curves up and then it becomes the islands and this,
I'm
kind of
from-
above that cove.
I'm from the islands.
Okay, above all that chain, there's that peninsula and then there's that, we just called it the Lost Cove, but I think there's another name for it, that area where nobody goes. And you are familiar, there's a like Bermuda Triangle-esque portion kind of in the center of all of that.
There's got to be a reason they're called the Lost Islands.
Yeah. And he's like kind of in the middle of that I guess they finally figured out that's where I grew up there. That's where no one goes. And, people. So, like, they hang out there now.
Okay.
Pretty recently. Past few
Okay.
years, I think. I don't remember that well, but, like, before the last, 10 years or so, I don't think anybody was there. And now they're usually at least a couple of them there.
Okay.
They usually know where the other ones are.
There's also like a cloud head, right? Where
Yeah, that's kind of why, right? Because there's, and probably all of you would know that there's, mountains at the tip of that peninsula. It kind of stretches out in this weird, it's mostly, volcanic over there, but there's, a mountain range, and clouds kind of gather in that area. But what you do know, and had always had in your mind that maybe something around there, this is the first you've heard of any station, but when it happened would be a good place to maybe start, because there are different types of clouds that tend to gather in that area. Everything from thunderclouds to all the other types of clouds that there are. And he's like, anyway, in that range, it's still a pretty big range, but it's not as big as Tyranna.
yeah. Okay.
You could get there by boat, but the big one, ships.
Ronnie.
It shakes your hand too hard, and you feel that swirl again as your winds kind of collide, but not in that big burst.
Okay.
He goes, I have a filter, just not right now. Yes. He takes another big bite to give himself some time. And you recognize that although your volumes are very different, and a lot of that kind of homeschool awkwardness a little bit from both of you in different ways.
Okay. Yeah.
But he smiles at you, and then he's like, you don't do the academic. What do you do?
And how do you mean? I do a lot of things.
Well, you're here. This is a school. I don't think you're a student. Are you a student?
No. I'm here to fight big monsters.
Still?
Well, no,
You
he's
killed
gone
it?
now.
You killed it.
Yeah,
and you
it's
see the
gone.
first, fear.
Yeah, no,
did you-
it's gone. We killed it. We killed
Okay. You guys made a mess. And he looks at the library, which is still pretty messy.
We got the fire put out, right? I'm assuming.
That was the Oblex. We did not make more of a mess than is already
He
here.
fully winks at you and says, I would say the same thing. All of it.
mean,
You didn't do I didn't do any of it. You didn't either. It doesn't
No.
matter.
Did set a bookshelf on fire.
Yeah.
For sure, I did not slip and slide on any loose papers. For sure, that didn't happen.
I haven't seen it, so
No,
definitely
no.
you didn't.
No.
He switches back to common for a second. He goes, nobody slipped on any papers or set anything on fire.
Octavia just
Azra peeks her head out of the vault.
In the mid-soup.
Yeah, since I'm sitting closest to Octavia, I just kind of look at her and just go like,
I kind of want to like see what other people's reactions are. Not only to the fact that he's just announced this in the loudest voice possible, but we also switched from primordial to common to say that.
Make a perception check.
Maybe. $14.
With a 14, you see that a couple of the students hadn't seemed to notice anything in the library. These people are worn out. And they kind of like start and look around and they're like, oh, shit, part of the library is still
damn.
smoking.
They go right back to their seat.
Just kind of the deeply like, after any big event where you're just like, and it's weird, you kind of clock that everybody is tired in very different ways. Your compatriots are tired from a recent big battle, and the other ones are tired on a deeper, like, long haul kind of way. And you start to see, like, the barest evidence of hope as people start to eat a little bit faster. Like, half a smile here and there. What's been dead silent, there starts to be some conversation that's not just voices you recognize. But yeah, after he says that, Strophus and Common looks around, he's like, everyone, I realize that obviously there are damages to the library and you are a very highest priority getting everyone safe, but with whatever energy, if any, you can spare, please thank those that came to help us. And you see like this tired group of wizards who can't even really summon the energy to like applaud or hoot and holler. You see several of them make very similar gestures in the air, and you're all like showered in this little colored sparks as they take baby steps and cast prestidigitation, and you all kind of glow.
I'm sitting next to Octavia, and I probably once again like, you serious right now?
Alaproth looks up fully like tongue out as he's eating his soup, and everybody's kind of like,
Rana considers
This is praise.
considers if it's worth it to cast invisibility and hide.
I'll dispel magic on you. You stay with her.
You wouldn't be able to find me.
Astra clocks fewer, maybe only one.
I think she stepped out of the vault when she heard
Okay.
Strophus saying that. And I think trying to decide whether Azra... I think she looks around imitating that she's making eye contact with people, but she's not making eye contact with anybody.
Staring at ears.
Yeah, pretty much.
Make a perception check for me.
9.
Octavia, you can make one too. You can if you're...
I want some of that action.
Yeah.
What are we checking?
Perception if you're paying attention to Azra.
Oh, no.
11.
He is,
Probably not. I'm talking to the loudest person in the world.
That's fair.
I think she undid whatever
Oh, that's a
hair
eight
thing
out of
she
3.
did with her forehead.
It's only a 13 though.
It was only a DC 12. you notice, you don't know everything that's going on entirely, but Astrophis actually was the one to cast it on Azra. There's a minute hesitation. And, like, nobody but Ori was really looking at Azra. It seems like there's a studious lack of eye contact from their parts as well. Ori refused to learn it. He has this thing with it being cheating, and it's a weird, like, mostly fun argument. It's not in his repertoire.
So I kind of just see Azra's looking kind of out of place.
It's not mine, actually.
All right, well, I mean, first person closest to me, I was like, Octavia, do you notice that Azra seems a bit strange after the fight?
Octavia showers Azra in some sparks.
You know it? Oh.
It is something similar enough.
I go,
Similar enough.
oh. Do you know, she seems a bit out of sorts. Was instrumental in the battle. I feel like she should be soaking in a bit more of the praise on this.
While you're talking, Azra stops standing there after the little fireworks, and she's going to go get food, head down, sort of.
Ori had, I mean, I assume your gaze returns near him enough times in the short time that, like, you see him.
Probably involuntarily.
He eats pretty, like, quickly, kind of checks on other people, and you see after Astrophis stops, like, hassling him with questions and stuff, and he's had something to eat, and he's confident that the other people are taken care of for the moment, he starts looking at you frequently with, like, the uncomfortable, like, dead even stare that actually feels both uncomfortable and comfortable in its familiarity, that he doesn't avoid things in the same way. It just starts, like, looking to you frequently, not pressing you, but he stopped any kind of avoidance.
I'll finish up talking about that.
Yeah, Octavia actually isn't eating. She's just sitting next to you and looking at everybody. And in this kind of rare moment, she is not thinking about herself at all. She's thinking about, are the people okay? Are my companions okay? Is Azra okay? Is Azra okay? Are my companions okay? Is Azra okay? And you see her, she's kind of got this, that you see in your mom, if you're the youngest of 6 kids, where her focus is everywhere at once.
But not like our mom, but she's...
You would think that Azra would be taking either the most, I'm going to just say, rudest victory lap of that she was completely and utterly right, or at least soaking in a bit of the praise.
I think it's more complicated than that. I don't know if she feels like she failed here before, but there are some past complications, I think. And I think she knows somebody. Maybe somebody's here. And who knows? Who knows what she's thinking? She doesn't share it, so...
Probably not the best time to bring it up then.
Maybe not. Maybe later.
Eat your soup.
Yes, of course. In a little bit. Yeah, just looking over everyone.
At some point, Ember comes up to you after your and you're still sitting there, maybe, I assume, but, like...
Probably found the biggest bowl I could put soup in, so...
Jarrett, considerately brings you some bones, if you want some.
Oh, hey, cool.
And, like, soup crackers, the way he's eating them.
Is Astrophis sitting with our group or with the other students?
Astrophis, like, your group is kind of, like, a little scattered out.
Well, they're eating together for sure.
They are. Yeah. Ember comes up and essentially shoves a bowl of soup at you at some point and is like, good, with the, but food.
Yes, Denver.
Denver?
Yes.
She's not supposed to say ma'am, and she knows it.
You look out, but also you are under miso food.
Okay,
And you
yes.
recognize that possibly the first moment in a lot of ways where your energies align. She's doing the exact same thing you are, but you're part of it. So, food.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's Ember.
Same thing, but eating.
Yeah.
I also offer her a couple of the bones, just like a bone.
She just takes one and licks one and gives it back. I don't think that's my thing.
But yeah, so Ember,
I hear it's good for your teeth to chew.
I feel like you guys are gathering at your leisure, like as you like. There's definitely availability, but you distracted, so it's up to you. Each. When
You go eat.
Yeah, when I awkwardly disengage from the homeschool to homeschool
Oh,
communication.
please come over to us.
I will come over and sit next to Alabroth and Octavia.
I think I sit down with them as well at the same time.
As Bonnie sits down, I kind of like, so, interesting friend that you've made over there.
Oh, he's very
Of course, this
loud,
will be
that's
very,
for sure.
this will be very animated. She has to lean all the way.
Yeah.
Rana will go over and join him when he sees that everyone's gathering back.
Of course, I offer anybody bone. The bone. No,
No,
no.
thank you.
It's a nice kind of comfortable, like at your it's this familiarity of they'll be there. They're not leaving without you.
It's like the
you
end of
know.
Avengers after the end credits.
The
Very
shawarma.
much, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm the one that's eating.
Octavia reaches over and grabs your belt loop and scoots you closer to her.
Oh.
Just sits by you.
He just sits there.
Yeah, very much the shawarma scene.
Smooths out his belt.
Was I in school at the same time as Nimbo?
I think probably.
I've only been gone for like 6 months or something.
Yeah, like Nimbo is a first year, so like you probably had like this thing where you kind of disregarded. He's not a divine caster, and he was a first year. So yes, at the same time, but you didn't have like classes together. It's not a big
No,
enough school
but-
where you didn't see him.
Genasi are very rare though, right?
They are very rare. You can roll a Arcana check to see if you knew what he was at the time, because you definitely didn't have class or study group with him.
No, but I'm thinking that even a first year, a Genasi of any kind, as loud as Nimbo is, I feel like everybody sort of at least understood that there
yeah.
was a loud air Genasi named Nimbo going to the school.
Kind of hard not to.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Against
that
your will,
tracks.
Yeah,
You didn't have the option to not know about Nimbo.
yeah. I imagine there were people like talking about him, and that news trickled up to the upperclassmen just because it's so rare, and people were like, "Who's that guy with the blue skin?"
And while I feel like
It's not
you would know
Yeah.
who he was, I would also feel like he got because first years spend a lot of time in like magic deprivation as they're training them, which is something we have talked about some. That you may the rumors might have been mixed between, like, some people said Air Genasi, some people said Drow, which would actually also clock with
That
dark
loud
blue
dude with the
skin
blue
Yeah.
and silver hair. They're different enough in appearance, like, which really only because it makes sense to me that if you knew for sure Air Genasi, it would have come up. But there was enough going around that, like, they weren't positive who it was. So, like, yes, you've seen him and heard his voice, but if he was in magic deprivation, you might not know for sure what race.
Gotcha.
Because they're elvish-ish in appearance.
That's all.
But yeah, you've heard his name and you've seen him.
Now, or back in school.
You probably saw him from a distance. You probably heard his name.
I would imagine
As he
there's a
walked around the-
possibility you heard his voice.
Yeah. Walked
Yeah,
on and said,
oh, yeah.
"I am Nimbo!" Just walking around the halls.
Yeah, it's the only thing that was uncertain to you for sure was you weren't positive what race
Yeah, okay,
or
okay.
species he came from. But yeah, he's half built off of my old friend Frankie. He's just voices. Fills up rooms.
Oh yeah, Nimble? Mm-hmm. I think I heard about him.
You hear
You
him
think?
burst out laughing from the other side of the room at
What?
somebody who looks very confused that they made a joke, apparently.
You think you've heard about it?
I think it'd be pretty impossible not to hear him at least.
I had no classes with him, but he was sort of the talk of the school when he first joined. We don't see many of your kind. Barely anybody does.
Fair enough.
Really?
Genasi?
Yeah.
No. I mean, I've always heard that they sort of keep to themselves and spread out far and wide.
I'd never seen most of the Tynes before I came here. It's just pretty much just elves, some half, but I.
You've seen elves, humans, dwarfs,
Yeah.
and halves of everything was, and not that many dwarfs, but yeah, like the
I pointed
majority.
at Ember and Sylvie and Alaroth and Ronnie and Brana, and I'm like,
Ember kind of glances at you, and goes, "Freaks attract freaks." I don't know what to tell you. She's like,
Okay.
you just in mind mostly. Yeah. Common species. Here.
While we've got Azra over here, I kind of feel like, is everything okay, Azra?
Comforted her offended.
yeah. I mean, it's literally just.
You were instrumental in the fight. I'm
in,
just
it's
curious.
just like-
Is everything okay? I would have
She
thought
leans
that,
up against
Yeah, everything's
you,
fine.
like,
I would have thought you would at least give them a
Brana's very happy.
very good. I was.
Oh, you piece
Like,
of shit.
let me insight check that.
you guys are
That's
like
natural
cuddle
one.
homies.
Oh, nice.
Hold on. I'm insight checking that.
Yeah,
What are we
yeah.
inside checking?
I said I'm fine, and then I
18.
immediately rolled a deception check.
18.
What was your
Insight.
deception check?
It's a 14.
I beat you.
Yeah, you did.
Amber, unless she gets a natural 1, which she does not, with her 29, it's like, yeah. Anyway,
I'm merely asking. I thought you would have.
she leans over to Brana. She's fine.
We're just gonna.
At least take a
Of
victory
course.
lap of you were right to them. You know. Perhaps what's the gesture?
Was
So
right
they-
about what?
You know. No.
This might be the worst thing to be right about.
Okay. Fair enough.
The books being destroyed. I would guess.
Well,
Is
that
that what
wasn't
you're
even. I mean, I wasn't trying to prove that to anybody.
Oh, okay.
I think the victory lap might also have been the "I told you so" in the response.
I was expecting more of that.
That was very satisfying. I think
I
most
thought
of us.
I honestly thought you were going to indulge a little bit further. I've seen someone make a gesture of a bird or something. It's a very rude one. I've seen it.
Oh, are you
Like-
talking about this one?
That one. Yes.
I got
I
it.
thought this was like a butterfly.
Yeah, at least Napoleon Dynamite taught me that was a.
That's how,
Yeah,
that's how we say fuck you and Mayor.
Well, just checking with her. You were very capable during the battle. What happened towards the beginning?
It was trying to make an offer. It wanted. It was trying to make an argument that we should let it continue. It sort of.
It sought your aid.
Yeah, it was. It wanted. It was trying to convince me that it was the right thing. That what it was doing was right.
And you resisted.
Of course, I wouldn't let that happen.
What was it trying to achieve exactly? I imagine you got more insight into the specifics.
It's sort of what we guessed. It wanted to. It's funny. I don't think it understood its own sort of paradox. Not paradox. Contradiction. It wanted the knowledge kept in this secret library to be available to anybody that it decided should have it.
It was destroying the books, though.
It was destroying them after it had read them, using the students.
So you had the opportunity to gain more prestige, power from this object and chose not to.
I mean, why should I trust its word? That it would have anyway.
Well, particularly if its motivations and actions are contradictory. Or at least its stated motivations. Being to...
I mean, I think it was being honest, I just don't...
You do?
You had an opportunity and passed it up for what was good. I admire that. Others, less willed or more weak-willed, probably would have taken the offer.
Ember goes,
It was kidnapping students and enslaving them.
You'd be surprised what some people would give up and with the offer for real power. That
Ember
was a good
goes,
decision. It was a strong decision.
were
I
you
can
not
imagine my
kicked out for deciding what knowledge you should have and how that knowledge, isn't it kind of all to do with knowledge? With what knowledge you should be privy to and what knowledge you shouldn't? Wasn't it kind of connected?
I'm sorry, what do you mean?
You were booted from school for deciding knowledge was more important than people, kind of.
I'm not going to get into that argument right now. I was not kidnapping students.
Short. I was not arguing with choice. I was, you and I do not know each other well. That was all I was told. Was something about...
No, cheating, having other people study, and then just copying their notes using magic, essentially. No, that is not equivalent to what the Obelix was doing.
Right.
Okay.
I'm just
It was just opportunity to take that to maximum in some ways. So it's very good that you turned down. You could have cheated from Oblex to get all knowledge you required. Didn't. That is... My point was only this growth of some sort, I would imagine.
Growth.
You kind of recognized that moment, like, your defensiveness, that she was just, like, trying to, like, in a roundabout way, say, like...
Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, like, I think...
Your reaction makes sense, but...
Yeah, she says growth. What did y'all think of me before today?
When we first met you, you seemed more concerned with coin. Which, not evil per se, but
No.
it is something that, this is my focus. But, and I thought, well, a well-paid person would probably be loyal. But you've proven otherwise. I have seen very good, those I would perceive as good would give that goodness up in the face of the real power being able to be accessed. It's tempting. And for anyone to deny that, it does show quite a bit of character. But you came here wanting to help others, and we followed you. Your intentions were always good. There's no question of your character, but...
See, that's what I'm hearing. Is that before today, you weren't sure if I would have done that.
Oh. You never know what one will do when faced with an offer of that sort.
For what it's worth, due to the variety and stories that we heard about this mark on your head prior to finding out what it really was, like, we knew that you were not 1000% honest, but I never doubted that you were trustworthy.
I can say the same thing, yeah. I have a good knack for figuring out who are not so trustworthy, you could say, and you always pass that test.
And it was my goal to make sure that you're charging in to help others. You wouldn't, well, die again. I don't think I could have dealt with
Would
that
you
myself.
describe yourself as a good judge of character?
When have I had a bad judgment of character?
I think Braun is an excellent judge of character.
No, it's just that it's more that you're also a little shady sometimes.
I deal with a lot of people who are rather shady.
Fair enough.
And Alter here does not fit that vibe.
I would
could be a
imagine
better judge
dealing
of
with a
character.
lot of shady people would make you good at telling who's shadier than others.
Everyone in that bar that got us here.
Shady.
Do not
Very.
judge yourselves too strongly. I followed a creature into the woods with the intention of helping and led us all into a trap because I thought someone needed help. So it's always good to have those that are doubtful of others' character as well.
I mean, we all followed. I don't think we were following you even. We all wanted to help.
Some of us did not feel comfortable with
If
that
I
at
remember,
all.
I think Azra rolled like a nat 1 on Insight or something. So
You two didn't roll high enough.
yeah.
You two were like, well, the rest of my group is going, so I guess I'm
well,
going.
Yeah.
And
I
Alabron's
I
a dummy and was just
directly-
like, someone needs help.
Yeah.
I directly raised some skepticism and was immediately shut down because y'all didn't roll high enough.
Oh, that's right. I do remember shutting
And
you down.
then
Yeah.
Braun is
yeah.
over here like, no, I'm with you.
never yelled at her about it. Me about it.
Braun, I don't think I noticed this until now, but I think you and I both might be dealing with the same. I guess I haven't seen you dealing with it much, but the sort of assumptions that people make because we've been on the other side of rules.
Yeah. People don't tend to notice it when they think you're blind then.
Maybe
He
that
just
is a
kind of
part
like
of it.
grins and thumbs up.
But
Maybe that is a part of it.
in the meantime,
You're not the same.
as a group, what are our next actions?
I think that's a good question.
I've asked
I'm sorry.
the headmaster.
What do you mean by that?
You're not the same. My opinion of you didn't change today. But I did offer you my friendship, and you asked what could you possibly do with it. And Brana never made that. You always accepted my friendship, and so no, I don't think you're the same. I do think that you both deal with assumptions, but no, you've always been kind to me. I'm sorry, you can keep going.
Amber goes, nope. That's all she says.
In the meantime, I was wondering. I have been studying something, and I've asked the headmaster for a particular item that would allow me to scry.
When did you have time to study?
I read all the time, thank you very much. While you all are sleeping and curled up, what do you think I'm doing while I'm curled up in my tail like that?
Snoring. Loudly.
Well, that, of course, yes. But if I can procure this device, I might be able to scry, which will allow us to see what the changeling is doing. We have seen, looking at the effects of the spell, we have seen him with this device. Because I do know him or I've seen him, we could figure out where he is.
If you need any help with that, I know the same spell.
You both took scrying?
I'm a divination wizard.
You get
Nice, so you
scrying.
just get it.
I don't think I just get it, but I took it. I get
That
It
bonuses.
became
Actually,
available.
it is-
Did it just become available to you?
No, I've had it since 3rd level spells. I didn't know you need it.
It's actually
I thought you were doing
incredibly
the
useful
studying
for two
here.
people to have
No.
it because you can
Okay.
fail.
Just
Yeah.
over time. Albroth carries books and stuff with him. So.
Yeah, no, Ron.
I thought Bahamut just came down and whispered in your ear.
Oh, he does.
This is how you do a neat
He
new
does.
trick.
Yes.
I fully thought that you were talking about for the duration that we've been in this library, which there would have not been a lot of time for study.
But if I can procure the
Cast a
device,
spell, read a book.
and should I be able to scry and find, but you haven't, does scrying work for you if you You haven't met the changeling, though. You haven't seen it.
Let me
Solid
double check how it works.
They get a bonus to their roll.
If we're familiar with them, but we can still, if they're
Or
not.
no, they don't get a minus. It's something that their roll is harder the more you know them.
Or the less you know them?
I think it has
Their
to
roll is harder
start
the
with a
more you
creature
know.
that's known to you.
Yeah, and we met him day one, so.
Matt, like, is soft on that one. But, you do
Oh,
have
no,
to
I-
start with knowing the creature.
It is 5th level, never
But
mind.
we saw Chucklefuck the first day. So.
No, you 100%. I'm trying to figure out if I would rule that Azra could even try.
Oh, wait, their saving throw to resist being scryed takes a minus if you know them very well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But should we have the opportunity to
Yeah, their
figure
roll
out
is harder the more you know.
where
I think we were thinking that the
Where they
scryer
are.
was making the roll, and that's why we were
Yeah,
confused.
that's
No,
what I was
it's
talking about.
saving throw.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Right,
my
but
bad.
if the creature's not known to you, you don't get to do it at all.
Yeah, you have to have, if you have secondhand knowledge of them, they get a +5 to their saving throw.
Okay.
So could, because
Could
second
try, yeah. And I will say that you have not had the access prior to. Well, you just got access to it, right?
but were we able to
From leveling.
Sorry, it's all mechanical.
Yeah, I can learn scrying now.
Okay. You would not have had the components to
Right.
do it, so it might be useful by itself that Alabroth could loan you his crystal ball.
But were we able to discern the location and were he vulnerable? Do we go back to our escort duties, or do we take the opportunity to rid ourselves of this annoyance?
Amber kind of nudges you, Brana, and you kind of all look up and you see that, like, both Nimbo and Astrophus are kind of hovering, not close enough to hear, but it's clear, and actually Ori, that people have started to, they're not really clearing out of the library. Well, no, actually. A few of them have started to clear. You assume while you're talking that Astrophus has talked to a couple of them, and they're starting to establish some sort of next steps, and
Yep.
you assume they're going back to their rooms to sleep or whatever.
Which we need.
But Nimbo and Astrophus and Ori are all kind of expectantly hanging out.
Be like, oh.
Also, being that he's in league with this dragon, we would be eliminating a powerful ally of the dragon.
It's definitely,
I feel-
it definitely
The,
can't hurt.
the dragon, yes. I remember you told me about that. I just
Unfortunately, I
forgot.
have not seen the dragon, so only one of us has seen the dragon up close.
Yeah, it definitely can't hurt. That's the good thing. Is that there's not a negative to this, is there?
We just need to make the decision on what we will do.
From what from what we heard, I get the impression that the changeling and the dragon were not easy allies.
Yeah.
Allies nonetheless.
I do remember that. Yeah, the changeling was like, I brought you stuff out of my free will. I'm charitable. The dragon said, you are not charitable. You think you have power here. And you don't.
Yeah,
You
it
don't.
seems like while to you the relationship doesn't change, and as far as appreciation goes, yeah, like
Yeah, the
Yeah.
dragon
is it a
said-
powerful
There's-
ally? Like perhaps,
Ally
probably.
might be there's a potential that calling them allies might be overstating the case.
I will point out that no matter what we do with the changeling, the dragon's still a threat. Because we might have, killed its children.
There's always the option of getting our hands on the changeling.
We're ice dragons.
Were we able to? Yes.
Were you laughing at my facial expression?
The sudden dawning realization was just really funny.
No, I had thought of that at the time, but I don't think it likely that. I mean, I could be very wrong.
You could
But-
be.
But
It kind of makes sense.
it would make sense, but it would also not make sense that they would be so far from home and nowhere to find us.
Just a lot of eggs.
Well,
Alabath, roll a history check for me.
where's my history?
The dragon didn't.
Eggs, baby
The
dragons.
dragon didn't encounter us at all.
That's gonna be a 4.
Bruh.
You don't know anything about ice dragons. Children.
There's also the option of
Would I
if
potentially know anything about ice dragons?
we'll be able to
What
get
are your
off.
favorite enemy that you have dragons?
Ooh, did I read about them?
What are my favorite enemies? I don't remember.
Maybe if they're her favorite, if they're his favorite enemy, that's the most I'll stretch that.
We'll be
Because
able to
it's specific to the subtype.
No, I have humanoids and monstrosities.
Then no,
so
nobody else knows any. He might have because of Dragonborn, but
Yeah.
Were we able to get our hands on the changeling, maybe dispatching him right away would not be the answer, but we could get more insight as to what the dragon's plans are. The changeling is the weak link. If we can find him, question him, retribution for Rock.
I feel like there's a good possibility that the dragon would not care about us if the changeling was dealt with.
Aye.
Unless, of course, you're right in that those young dragons were babies of that dragon.
Ember speaks up and says, from what you said, King was part of Horde. There's good chance Dragon does not like you. Also, from
But it never saw us.
true, as far as you know.
But the changeling did, and
Yeah. The changeling could have easily told him about us and turned into us to show the dragon what we look like.
should have been wearing the mustache.
That would have helped.
I know. The dragons would have just passed us by. Just, oh,
Never know.
Dragonborn. Oh, but facial hair, and then they would have gone on. Damn it. I apologize, my friends.
Next, I have disguised self next time, and I'll give you a mustache.
But if we get our hands on the changeling, get him strapped to a chair, maybe Brother could take out the fire dagger and, you know, threaten him. You could, you know, pound him about the head and shoulders until we got information out of it. I have no sympathy for this individual.
It's more that I don't know that you'd get useful information that way. You might just lie.
Yeah, so be it.
It's not useful if he's lying, though. And we won't know if he's lying.
You look up and all three of the
Wait.
people have stepped like a little closer. Like they're still not pushing you.
Talking about torture.
Oh, they're not
Wait, hold on,
like
let me take a
listening, but it's like that awkward like church standing nearby where you're like,
I mean, to be fair, he doesn't have to be alive for
That's
us
what,
to get
do
information.
you have anything that would make someone give up the truth? Perhaps some sort of spell or something?
I do not.
Do you know of a spell that can do that?
I'd have to do some research.
I think I have not.
I think I do, though, actually.
I have not seen that spell
I think
among our
Sword of
halls,
Truth is
so I
very
think
spell.
that may be an incantation rather than a spell.
I have Zone of Truth.
I don't know the difference between the two of those.
I have
just
Zone of
nod
Truth.
As,
I will point out, he
an
doesn't have
obelit
to be
smells
alive
like sulfur.
for us to get information.
Well,
Oh, I'm so. Everyone, hang on.
What?
hold on.
Do go on.
Is the amount of information that you can get out of them limited? Are they able to lie?
They are able to lie is the problem, but they are eager to, like, in mechanic wise, it's like it's a thing of the trinket you can take from their soul. They are eager to be free, so they will answer however they need to be free. But I do think it's funny that we could use that as a threat.
Yeah, I could totally use Zone of Truth.
if you put those two together, I believe, does Zone of Truth compel them to speak?
They can't tell a deliberate lie
So
Unless
If-
they pass the
unless they pass the check.
if you put those two, I mean, I might be able to make them fail. If you put those two things together, you could ensure that they speak, and then you could ensure that they tell the truth. Put those two things together, and you'll extract it no matter what, assuming the spells work.
Assuming he knows answer. We've seen in this, from what we know of organization, answers tend to be inconsistent.
Just we should need to be consider our next actions,
Considering the
but also
chaotic nature of the organization, it might be the information that they have could be very inconsistent.
including the
It's-
location of the king's children. His Majesty is very worried about his progeny, which he should
Yes.
be. If we could do something to alleviate that.
Sorry.
It's a good word.
It is a good word. I was just distracted by how cool of a word it was.
Were we able to relieve some of that, it would lessen the king's worries.
Yes.
I am concerned for those children as well. More so than my revenge for the death of...
On a scale, though. No.
Find the children first.
Yeah, by how much?
Quite a bit, actually.
Okay, good.
Straphus is clearing his throat gently, like still from a distance. Just like still, there starts to be like
Oh, hello there.
you start to feel like a little more like, oh, they're not leaving until they say stuff or talk about stuff.
I
that
thought they were
wanna-
just listening. My bad.
They're not listening. They're
thought they were just
specifically
chilling.
not.
Yeah,
listening.
they were just standing there anticipating us getting up.
Oh,
Some sort of invitation into. So they're being very respectful of you and your privacy.
apologies. We didn't see you there.
Hi.
It's awkward.
They kind of all like walk awkwardly up, and Nimbo kind of looks around and he's like, "Hi."
It's late now, right? You should,
That's no. You came in
About
the morning.
6:24.
The fight, like
In
Yeah,
game
it's
time,
like-
that
Oh,
fight
yeah.
was over in less than a minute.
it's
Oh.
maybe noon.
Yeah.
And Strophus kind of looks, and Nimbo goes, Professor, I guess. And Strophus looks at him and goes, no, like, you have, I assume, something brief to say, and right? And Nimbo's like, yeah, the ship I came on comes around about like once a year. I was gonna go visit. Strophus can find me. I was just saying, like, that's an option if you want to go like to this place. Where I'll let him tell you. Anyway, I'm gonna go sleep, but that's an option. It's gonna come by in the next few days. I was gonna visit. Let me know. He can get a hold of me. I'm gonna go sleep. I don't know what day it is, but in the next few days. Yes. Good night. And just like abruptly turns and walks off.
How
strange fellow. And,
yeah. How would he know that the ship is coming around if he's been stuck in there for so long? When is he?
Passed
Did
out.
he just message somebody just now?
Well, I mean, he might have been keeping track of time and just lost track of what days.
Or he's
it
standing
is.
right there. He's like, we knew approximately, like, relatively, if it's like a route
Oh, okay.
that he goes, then it's entirely
Nobody's
possible.
gonna do
Like we think it's, and he's still in the process of figuring this out. He spouts like off a range of like 3 or 4 days. So they have been tracking it. They just, in the early game, they weren't sure. So he's like, I think it's between, and he spouts off a range, and it's on it's on the later end of his date range, but it is within it. So.
What was he talking about? He's inviting us to his home?
I don't know if that's his home per se, but it's the like one of the places where Jinn gather
Oh.
in the clouds. Usually, perhaps not if they're in the middle of nowhere.
A ship that goes to the clouds.
Well, a ship that goes to the place where the clouds are.
Is it a secret?
I don't know. I don't think it's so much of a secret as that it is moving and not easy to access. And it could be where I'm looking for.
Oh.
Yeah.
Astrophus goes, what?
His nose touched my finger for a second. I was like, what?
Astrophus goes, this is, the Jinn have resources at their disposal. As far as I know, this may be the only ship that is able to go by land or sea. Or, I mean, not by land, by air or sea. At least in limited capacity. And thus is the only one who will sail to that area. That is all I know.
This must be something that's useful to us.
Of his, and I'm not sure that there are no other ships that are willing. It's just within my knowledge, this is the only one that makes that journey, and only once a year, so maybe twice a year. I don't know. Limited capacity. From what I remember, he talks a lot without necessarily saying a lot.
I can see that.
I mean, I would kind of hope that's the case, lest he tell all of his business at top volume.
That has been my experience in class.
Is that something you'd be willing to leave to pursue? 'Cause we were just talking about this pressing business with a dragon and a changeling.
I don't think I could, but it is tempting. Just by virtue of the fact that I'm being offered a chance to actually look for what I'm seeking.
Yes.
Our business here is important, though.
Azra's checking her Rolodex of knowledge. There's a... That was not in real time, by the way.
Just like checking.
Yeah.
No,
Making all those faces.
I'm fully imagining all of those faces, but also just like a real Rolodex that
Yeah.
you're flipping through.
There's a lot of names crossed out from Bridget.
You're looking
She's
at a
burned.
spell book, right?
Yeah. Many
In my
bridges
head.
burned.
She doesn't have one?
What?
She doesn't have one?
She's
Oh,
not
no,
checking
she's
a
had-
spell.
I have a spell book of the spells that I have recorded in my spell book.
Gotcha.
I'm thinking of potential spells.
Gotcha.
If you wanted to visit and sure, why not? I was thinking about gesturing at Astrophus, learning some new spells while I'm here. Might as well while I visit. There's a terribly useful spell that I think I'm ready to take on. Teleportation circle.
Excuse me?
It would allow us to relocate from where we are to anywhere else that I'm familiar with instantaneously. And so if you wanted to take this...
Teleportation circle?
I think so.
It's the one
10-foot diameter, circle in the ground. Serving any creature that enters the portal instantly appears within 5 feet of the destination circle or in the nearest unoccupied space if that space is occupied. Okay, so it needs to be at a destination circle. Many major temples, guilds, and other important places have the destination circles. I'm assuming there's one in Strassus, the capital of this country.
Yeah, but where's it going to? Where are you going to?
That's what I'm saying. If we went to where you were visiting, and we needed to get immediately back to Strassus so that we could continue our business, that would mean the trip takes half the time, because we only have to wait to get there. We don't have to wait to come back.
That would be quite
fair.
useful.
Yeah. And if there's any other teleportation circles that we could know of closer to where our other goals are, then it would save even more time.
That would be cool.
The worst comes to worst. Just
You're
grab
not
it
at
with
the
wings and
level
just take
where you know a lot of
not
teleportation
bad
circles, and they are rebuilding them. You do feel confident that definitely within Strassus.
I think there's one in the academy, probably.
Probably, or else there's one that the academy like sanctioned or something nearby. Like, so that way for sure. As far as other ways, like you're at the trust level where people would start telling you about them if they know, you know, other places maybe, especially within the kingdom. But you need like kind of first-hand knowledge of them, so they could potentially tell you where to find them or who to talk to, or maybe. But you would have to visit that place to get the knowledge. Does that make sense?
Yes. Azure just had a different light bulb moment. Unrelated.
Assumed at some point.
So there's that. I was going to learn.
Just what else are we trying to accomplish here? Because we beat the big bad.
I was going to learn scrying, but I had 2 spells in mind. But if you already have scrying, I could instead of taking time spending learning scrying, I could instead just learn teleportation circle.
That would be very useful.
Yeah, and yeah, that seems incredibly useful.
I can't do that.
Never?
I don't know, maybe one day, but right now.
I figured Bahamut could just kind of like, you know.
Perhaps
That'd be cool.
in time, maybe.
Bahamut just go, whoop.
Well, that's nice, right?
They just whoop.
In terms of dragons.
I would say yes.
Okay.
To prevent from offending my deity. Anyway.
Nice.
Is there such thing as like a dragon angel?
Nice and good are two different words.
Possibly. Maybe.
I was just thinking like if an angel came and gave you a ride, but it is Bahamut you worship, and I'm thinking, what if there is an angelic dragon or dragon angels or?
I'm not sure. I haven't gone that much into the lore. Maybe there's always things I don't know.
I mean, I certainly don't know. I'm not very.
I'm wanting Brana to do the thing.
I am not nearly strong enough for that.
Oh come on!
I can't even pick up Ronnie.
Even
I'm to fly amongst the clouds. So.
Have you tried to pick me up before?
When you're sleeping, to cradle you like a baby.
I suppose that his arms would have to be as strong as his
Should
wings.
work out. I want to be character. Soar like an eagle.
Whenever I can figure out who's talking to me, I can ask them.
Excellent. Yes. So there's hope.
And
I
we're
wonder
just like chuckle like this deep low.
I wonder if Alabroth even works
have
out.
been there.
I think Alabroth is just built
He's
different
country-
and is a warrior.
Albros's probably just country strong.
Yeah,
As
exactly.
they say.
Yeah.
Like Alabroth doesn't go to the
Corn
gym.
fed.
One of the
Good
dudes
old boy strong.
just goes to the gym, lifts like 300 pounds. I'll be in the car. That's how I work out.
No warm up, just tosses some weight around.
Checks his Instagram and then leaves.
I mean, you gotta check your Instagram
Yeah,
while
of
you're at
course.
gym.
You see, what you think is Jira, and like it gets closer, and it's not Jira, it's another kobold, kind of struggling, holding this big glass sphere, like a little bit, and Astraphus instantly like goes and takes it from him and goes, I'm sorry, I didn't even think that, yes. And he walks over and with this like incredible like lack of ceremony just kind of plops it into your hands.
Is it big enough? Is it too big for me to palm, like with one hand?
No, but only because you're the only one in this group who could.
Do you understand what this is? This is a crystal ball.
Like all like kind of glass-ish spheres, it is heavier than you
Yeah.
think it's going to be, but yeah, easily.
Thank you so much.
There's a little kobold sitting nearby, like hands on his knees, a little bit like. It was good. It was a good workout. I'm gonna.
Don't ever leave
do
it
that.
uncovered.
Yeah, I was actually going to wrap it up in
Yeah.
something and like. Of
There's
course.
There's
Library has
definitely-
seen enough fire.
Room
Sorry.
in the haversack.
I put it in.
for
Yeah, I put it in
Oh, yeah.
like the little pouch I got or whatever, and just
But it doesn't fit in the little pouch. It will fit in the haversack that
Oh.
she
My little
carries.
backpack.
then I give it to Octavia.
Turn around.
And you like brace for the weight, and then you're like,
Plunk.
disappears into a pocket dimension, retrievable at any point by anyone who knows it's in there.
Great news. So after I can cast a 5th level spell again, I can use it. I need to rest.
We got our crystal ball. We got the crystal ball.
Miss Straffus goes, yes, we will, be taking some orders or suggestions for, it's not a payment per se, it's just the Academy doesn't, I mean, what resources we have should be for the greater good, so as a gesture of appreciation and trust, we're happy to give to you some of the things we have.
We would greatly appreciate that. Thank you.
Now, Ori still hasn't said almost anything. He's just kind of looking periodically, expectantly towards Azra, but it's clear he doesn't have like a group announcement or anything.
Yeah, I don't think that conversation's happening around people.
They both kind of stand there awkwardly, and
Ori and...
Astraphus. Like,
I think I have an idea for something, Astrophus. I'll have to talk to you about it.
sure. Yes, and in regards to your scrying, I would request, regardless of what your group chooses, that maybe you could help us out before you leave in, the changeling, just to know where he is. Whether you stay and fight or go back for the king or go find your mother and maybe seek to...
I'm sorry, whose mother? Oh, your mom.
Yes.
I'll get to that later.
He looks mortified,
Slow on the uptake.
like if he
Everyone
revealed
has a
something.
mother.
Yes, spoilers. Right. Or go back to the key, whatever you choose, if we could gain some insight before you're headed that way. I have access to the spell, but it's not currently in my repertoire.
I will share whatever knowledge we discern with you.
And you understand him to mean he hasn't taken the time to copy it at all. Like,
It's in a spell book that he has access to.
Yeah.
Just has to copy it to his. Yeah. I suppose, actually, if we're at a library, all you need is access to a book with the spell. Could you borrow a book off the shelf and cast the spell only while you have access to the book here?
I think you would know this. If you do that, it will disappear. If you just read it off. It's similar to how scrolls work. You can't just read it off a spell book. You can copy it into yours.
But then wouldn't your own spell book run out very quickly?
It would. It's that you, in the process of doing it, it's magic. Dude. You just-
I mean, yeah. But my understanding is that it doesn't disappear from your spell book, it's that it disappears from your memory. And then you have to reconsult your spell book. Nothing about your spell book changes when you cast the spell.
Right,
In
nothing
the
about
case,
your
in the case
spell
of a
book
scroll,
does.
though, which would probably apply to a book of magic if you're just casting a spell from that.
Yeah.
The spell or the scroll disappears.
Yeah, for scroll. Yeah. Well, I guess what I'm asking is,
That's what I'm
That
saying. If you
depend-
don't
do you think-
own the spell book, like if it's not your spell book, they have kind of a bond to you. So if you cast them just off a library book, then it disappears.
It's made out of regular paper. That's why it's so expensive to copy.
interesting. I didn't know that.
That's
It's like
definitely
special
not
paper and ink.
canon. I just made up. Like,
Oh. Yes.
I
huh?
do think
The
they're-
whole
they're
you have to pay like 100 gold in special
No,
paper.
but I
and
meant
ink.
about why it disappears.
Yeah.
Like,
I do
That's
think that
there.
is
That's why I
probably
figured it
deep
didn't
lore
disappear,
for another
yeah.
edition.
yeah, but yes, specifically to prevent mechanics hacking in this world, that is very much how it works. It becomes magical as you put it. All the libraries aren't printed on.
Sounds like you're
paper,
preventing
to your point.
creativity.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Sometimes it is that. But anyway. Yes.
So we kind of know what we're going to do next. Kind of. So,
We have one of 3 options. Sorry, we have one of 3 options.
well, we can't
Can
figure it out until tomorrow.
it's true.
So we're going to have to, like, rest up so I can do a 5th level spell again.
Also because we just had a hard fight. Sleep is a good
I
idea.
dropped it to spell
Resting
magic.
is a good
so-
idea.
I made the mistake of dropping it to spell magic at 5th level. That was my bad. So
I don't think you made a mistake.
Yeah.
I don't either. Astrophus did take a... Yeah, he explained to you why. Like, I think it was a good call. It doesn't always work that way, but...
I
And
went
usually
for
does.
X. So I should have 4th. Anyway.
Astrophus is like, well, yes, either way, rest for the night is good, and will also give you some time to think about that, whatever you would prefer. There's not a hard cap on what kind of items you can request. We are, of course, limited in what we have. But yeah.
And we'll get to that to you out of game. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought I was going to just like give you stuff, but I'm like, no, I don't know for like stuff that is role playing combat inclusive, but isn't cool weapons. Like,
I told you 2 things I would.
yeah,
like.
and definitely like one you already have, and the other one like I'm gonna look at and see. But yeah,
Replacement amulet, yeah. With +2, oh boy. I'll be lighting stuff up.
Brana is gonna want to see if he can talk to the voices first before he makes a choice. 'Cause, like I have a plan, but I need to see what I can get out of them first.
Octavia wants obedience school for her boots.
want to what?
Obedience school for her boots.
That would be nice. Definitely. Just because of the timing and stuff, I think that's probably a good place to wrap for the session. So, because you guys have some decisions to make and stuff to think about. What? I mean,
The
you
whole
had the opportunity.
Or he walked away.
No, he's standing right there saying nothing.
But we're in the middle of other conversation. I'm not just going to get up and rudely end our conversation.
He's been playing it waiting. I've been playing it waiting.
That's not the vibe that I got. Is that he was focused on other things, walked away, and then I got embroiled in other
definitely
conversations.
down for another 15 minutes if you want to have a
No,
conversation.
let's just wait.
with me.
I'm
I didn't
down
ever
to
forget
actually
that.
get that conversation done with.
Okay, let's just fucking do it.
Or he goes, Azra, may I speak to you? Is
yeah.
this not a good... And he looks at the rest of you. Is this not a good... Are we... I mean,
Oh,
I'm
yes,
not...
because we make the decisions on who Azra speaks to, so yes, it is a bad time. I'm sorry.
Okay,
I'm kidding with
He's
I'm
lying.
kidding with you. God.
I think we should go check out the other side of the library.
Yeah, let's go see if we can scrounge anything in the
Astrophus-
library.
Yes, everybody else leave.
Astrophus goes, there is a vault. I assume some of you are curious since many of the artifacts are inside it.
Ooh, let's go look at the artifacts. Let's everyone come on.
A museum tour.
And I'm gonna lean down and good luck, and then just leave the room.
Ember's like, I will sit in doorway and prop open door if it
It's
helps.
got a bunch of shit in it.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay,
let's
all
go.
right, let's go in the vault.
You all kind of awkwardly, like, well...
Azra will
Alibis,
signal to
skips out.
Astrophis to like pause for a second, and she will turn to Ori and say, "Do you want him to be here?"
Strophus goes, no, thank you. And he walks up and plops by it.
She makes strong eye contact with Ori, like sort of demanding an answer.
Ori's like, well, and with like this kind of twinkle where he's starting to come back a little, he's like, you would love to be in the middle of... He doesn't even think about it, so he's gonna blurt it out. He's like, my ex and my fight. Yes. And Astrophis just smiles and he's like, never have before. I'm gonna go sit with... And Ori, like, looks at you and the humor kind of fades a little and he's like, I think we can talk.
Okay. So Brana's staying or not?
No, Brana's coming with Ronnie to.
Gotcha.
I think Brana heard cool magic shit.
Yeah, we
yeah.
all did.
Well, you were looking at.
Looking at Brana.
Yeah.
Or you were looking at Cora, really, when
Yeah.
when Astrophis
Oh, were you
was
meaning to
talking.
speak to Astrophis?
We jetted. We're
That
out.
just
We're out.
happened.
We're going to look
That
at
was
cool
just-
stuff.
Yeah, I was just
Okay.
in the line of
Yeah.
vision.
Gotcha.
All
Brana
of
would-
the party has bailed.
Yeah.
Okay, all
Brana
right.
would have
Stuff.
very quickly gone, and just
Brana's like, oh, I'm out.
I
I will go ahead and say now, just for convenience sake, that we can roleplay the conversation between but I want to read the stuff you sent me
Yeah.
first, so we'll do that at the top of next session.
okay, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry, side
Yeah.
note. That was Ori kind of gestures for you to walk back, and without a roll necessary, you recognize that, like, for them to be able to identify or anything, they're naturally going to have to bring items out of the vault that they're looking at them to actually understand their properties. So
Yeah. We
you
start
feel
walking.
needs for your boots to come out soon. And yeah, you guys kind of head towards where one of the long cushions still remains in the couch area.
Yeah. So.
I did not expect you to be here. Yes. In a pretty formal tone, he's like, thank you for your part in freeing us. We were starting to lose hope.
I'm glad. I'm glad you're okay.
How are you here? How did you, you and Astrophis, I thought, never wanted to see each other again, and now you're here, and it's like, oh, this is the library I didn't even know about last time I talked to you, and you're here, and your thing is still glowing, and...
I don't think Ori has seen me with this.
Maybe not. And so he's like, and you have the thing that I heard about when they booted you, and yes. And it's like, oh, I'm not saying you're not a hero in any way.
You don't have to.
Well, yes, that's what heroes say, isn't it? Like, I'm not
No,
saying it wasn't a heroic act. I'm saying Strophus seemed to have no tension, and I just didn't expect, if I saw you again, that you would be here.
No, that makes sense. I sort of got embroiled in this other group's.
Yes, you have friends now. I mean, not now, but you have friends. It seems they seem very comfortable and
Yeah, I guess so.
a bunch of weirdos.
They are.
It's fair.
It's
rude. It's fair.
I didn't get a chance to say I'm sorry.
I mean, you had a chance. We both had a chance.
Well, they sort of dragged me off after our last fight. So, for that, I mean...
I didn't know that.
I mean... I didn't get this for cheating. They don't brand students for cheating at tests.
Sure.
I haven't been paying for that. But I didn't... I was mad, and then I just kind of accepted it, that I was going to be living with this for the rest of my life, I guess. And then, a little while ago, we confronted the Oblex for the first time. This is our second time fighting it. And, sort of... I didn't know you were in here, except that the Oblex used your image to catch me off guard, and I realized that it must have gotten you, and I wasn't sure if that meant that you were dead or not, and I didn't even think that that would be possible when we were away, and I'm sorry.
You see him, like, start almost as a reflex to, like, move toward you, like, to touch you in some comforting way.
I think she lunges over to hug him.
And the, like, Ori has kind of a formality about him that he dropped with you, and you see that return to the awkwardness of you see this, like, brief hesitation that lasts so long in your head. And then he drops his arm around your much shorter body and kind of like holds you. And he, because you know him so well, after a second, you hear him kind of awkwardly clear his throat, and you recognize that he's fighting his emotional reaction to maintain some composure. And he's like, I didn't think about what it would be like for other than my parents. Like, that thing tricked me with a professor, like, inviting me, and then I was knocked unconscious. I didn't really think about the ability to impersonate such a personal connection. Did it hurt you?
Well, and she pulls away and wipes some tears from her eyes. Yeah, it kind of got me, actually.
Got you?
Yeah, it's sort of weird to think about it. I died. But, our Dragonborn, he's a cleric of Bahamut, so he was capable of bringing me back quickly afterwards. Actually, I think they kept me overnight in, like, a stasis or something, and then he brought me back in the morning. I was out for that duration.
He sits down. You've made it to the couches at this point, and he sits down, and he just, like, his posture kind of relaxes, and he starts, like, kind of silently just... But all his emotions have been held back for so long. You've kind of recognized signs that he's always been a little bit of a social leader in some ways, and that seems to have extrapolated and grown in his time in captivity with regards to other people.
Yeah.
And all of that internal self-pressure he had anyway has grown, and he just, like, this is the first time you feel like you're seeing the full impact of everything, which has always been the case a little bit. It's just when it's you and him, he kind of crumbles a little bit into the couch, and he takes one of the pillows and he holds it in front of him. He's just kind of silently weeping, and he's like, for a second.
She puts her hand on, like, the back of the couch just behind him, and she's trying to see if he would be okay with her just kind of, like, touching his shoulder and, like, rubbing his back a bit.
There's nothing about his posture that ever seems to really invite that, but you don't feel any specific barrier to it. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
so it's only her own mind.
I think she puts her hand on the back of the couch, but she doesn't go for it.
He sits there for a minute and he just takes a minute and then he's like, you know, I thought maybe someday I would hear that had happened to you. Didn't think it would be hearing it from you as well. Kind of chuckles and he's like,
You imagined me dying in combat?
As far as I've known you, you've made more enemies than friends, so just by some total.
Yeah, last you heard from me, there was, exclusively.
Not like combat necessarily. It's a dangerous world. I mean, especially when we got taken and most of us survived, not by, just by almost chance. It just really opens your eyes to how many things are in the world, and without the...
Do you know how dangerous being a fisherman is?
I have read books from the first floor about catches that are deadly.
Yeah, I was doing some deadly catches for a little bit.
You were a fisherman?
Yeah.
Oh, that explains the fish smell. It's just totally casual. Of course you don't smell like fish anymore.
Haha.
It's just like-
No. Yeah, I needed.
Sexist.
I don't know.
I needed
No.
work after. I just needed to be away. I went I went to Copper Trails, and got some work there. It was just river work, but I heard a lot of horror stories.
Sure. And all of those others were just there, hanging out, or...
Just
I
chilling.
think it was pure coincidence. They came looking for a wizard to help them deal with the Oblex, and
Mr. Botham.
I guess I didn't really hear how they knew I was there. I don't know. Was Azra ever told that she was like the second pick?
No.
As far as I know.
Yeah.
No.
They just walked up to your group and was like, are there any magic people that can do the thought thinking thing?
Yeah.
And
Yeah, it was definitely Alroth, yeah. I'll have to ask them. That feels like it couldn't have been a coincidence, but yes. They were looking for a wizard, asking around, and someone directed them over to me. I think there was another wizard in town.
you would be aware that there was another wizard.
Yeah, I think they probably asked him, and then I guess he didn't want it. I'm not sure.
You start to put together, I feel like you would know, and you would know he's the teacher. You were in each other's eye lines virtually, so you would know he's
Yeah.
really old,
Yeah.
and it makes sense. And
He's the get off my porch wizard of Copper Trails.
very much.
Yeah.
And you also know Ori to be a very big believer in, like,
Getting off.
destiny.
Oh, I was gonna say getting off of lawns.
Wow, I needed you to finish that statement. Ori is a big fan of getting off.
Oh no.
I feel like Azra would also know exactly how big a
Getting
fan
off
he
of
is.
And Azra would know. I don't think we need to canonize that at the table necessarily.
Like fluttering curtains and fade to black.
Yeah.
But yeah, to be, and he's like, that's
Strictly speaking, Ronnie's not there. That was Mia.
Of course.
that I didn't see that circling back around in that way, but I guess everything, well, some things happen for a big reason. I didn't expect to see you here.
It is funny, they just sent me away and then they come calling back to me.
Yes. Yes. So he kind of looks around. He's like, so,
Yeah, I've spent some time with the Strophis. We we were cooped up in his office trying to study the Oblex's patterns and try to figure out our best plan of attack. And yeah, spent about random, like 2 weeks, 2 months. How long was it? We were in the hole.
Oh, yeah, 2 to 3 weeks.
Yeah, spent a few weeks with them, and yeah, I mean, he's not going to stay mad at me the whole time, right? I think, at least I would hope he understands at this point.
So what's next for you?
I hadn't really thought of that much. Actually, I do have something. I also know where it is. At least an approximation of it.
What is? I was talking about here.
The Shimmering Hall. I assume the Oblex pulled it out of your mind, and I was able to see it.
You know where the I don't know where the Shimmering Hall is. It's real?
I'm sorry. You don't know, and you don't even think it's... What the fuck, Ori?
Well, you always talked about it, but it's a...
We were researching that together, and you didn't even think...
I didn't have confirmation it was real.
Okay, fair.
We weren't able to find confirmation for a fact that it was... We knew it was at one point.
Yeah, So, did you just say that to piss me off, then?
No, I meant here.
What? No. I'm talking about when I was being escorted out of school, and you came in, and we started fighting, and you told me you knew where it was.
No, I said there's access to knowledge you can't have because of who you are, something to that nature. I was talking about here.
Okay. Time out.
In reality, he never said that he knew where the Shimmering Hall was. He was talking about the library. The second story of the library was knowledge you didn't have access to. He said
Okay, so we're saying that Azra made an assumption rather than that's what he said.
he didn't say for a fact, Azra made an assumption. It was the only logical assumption she could make because there were no rumors of a second story library.
Okay, all right.
It's the only logical assumption Christian or Azra could have made at the time.
Okay, all right.
But
Because
yeah.
I know we made some modifications, or you suggested modification to the backstory, I think.
Yes, but it did happen prior to the fight.
Yeah.
Yeah. But he's like, oh, yes, I'm at the library because of who you couldn't have access to it.
Oh, gods.
Yes.
Oh. There was no point.
Yes, I don't think I could have maintained my composure if I had found it and couldn't tell you about it or something. I'm in here. It's just it's further, he's composed himself emotionally, but he goes, I need to sleep.
Yeah, sure.
I do. And you said because of the scrying, nobody's leaving yet. If you need a place I can sleep on the couch, and he kind of rushes into that.
No.
Or something.
No, I'm good. And then she gets up and walks away.
He grabs your arm and spins you kind of into a hug with him, and he kisses the top of your head, and he says, I'm glad you're okay. I'm sure you need to process and all, but yes. I'm glad you're here, obviously, because that place stunk. a lot in every way.
No, I'm sorry, Ori. I realized I attacked you for no fucking reason.
He kind of awkwardly, like, he hugs you for a minute and he lets you go and he goes, it wouldn't be the first time. We're not the best at always with the emotions. I don't know if we're ready to just be like, it's great, but that's not.
No.
We have a lot to process, but I'm not angry with you. At least not right now. I don't feel much right now, but I don't think I'm going to be as angry even if I am.
I thought you knew where it was and you were withholding.
If I knew where it was, you think I would be here? Whether you would be with me or
well,
not.
you got captured.
Yeah, sure.
Or maybe you were preparing or something. Okay.
Yes.
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 So you don't know. You don't.
No.
Who? Someone else. The Obelix has consumed knew where it was.
Sure.
I thought it was you. I don't know who it is. Okay. We'll talk about that later. But yeah, go get some rest. I have someone else I need to talk to, so... And then I need to meet with the Stroffs about something, so let's talk tomorrow.
He's familiar with your kind of disengagement as your thoughts take over, and you're like, I've got to do that. And he's like, yes, well, I will see you tomorrow, I guess. Yes. Well,
Okay.
bye, buddy. He kind of punches your arm a little bit.
She, she was still doing this, but she kind of looks at him like...
He's always been really bad at that part, and he's like... And he, like, and then he just, like...
She'll grab his hand just for a second, and once he stops and looks at her, she'll just kind of, like, squeeze it, and then let go.
It feels better to you. And he squeezes your hand back, and then he just kind of turns around, and he holds his head, like, a little bit higher, and you feel like you've made some progress, even in this conversation, getting towards that. And then whatever's next for you guys.
She takes a deep breath and goes, well, there's one down.
You start to walk back as all of your compatriots, as soon as, like, you lost, like, eye contact, of probably glancing up to see when you come back at first, but then, like, look at all this cool magic stuff.
Yeah.
And get distracted, and you kind of, like, feel this weird vibe as you walk back, and it's like, oh, my friends, and
My friends.
yeah. And we'll close out there. That feels better.
Yeah, there we go.
Thank you so much for joining us, hanging out, whatever. Please follow us. Check out supercoolnerdshow.com. We post all sorts of stuff there, and you can watch there as well. We'll see you next Thursday. Some of us will. And, as we always like to say around here,
Keep on